close the doors of your mind, close the gates of your mind, close the gates of your palace, your body, your house, your temple, and bring your mind to center. Within your 12 cranial nerves and your 12 melon centers, within your hands and your feet that control your body, within your thought process, between your eyes and your ears, your right ear, to hear the voice of Yahuah and his thought process and understand the words of the Malachi, to know what to cast down to the ground and bring under the feet in subjection of Yahushua Mashiach. For today is the day of freedom. Today is the day of warning. Today is the day that Yahuah has given to us as a gift, a Natan, on another Shabath, that we may cease from our own ways, our own pleasures, our own words, our own thoughts, our own things, what we want to do with our eyes and our ears and our mouth and our faculties and our members and our body, and bring it with a mental understanding of who Yahuah is and why he proclaims himself to be the Elohim of all gods, who sits in the highest Shamayim above all Elohims, and over the 13th Shamayim, even all above all gods of the 13th. And all the beings, he sits above the seven Shabath Shamayims, and his throne, his Kaseh, his sapphire throne, his Sapphire throne, with his son sitting at his right hand, who helps govern the 7 Shamayims. From that highest Shamayim to the Rakia, to the surface of the earth, to the center of the earth. Yahuah Elohim. So this Yom, we acknowledge him as the one who made all the heart of the earth, both on earth and off the earth. The one who gives life and understanding to the city of the sun, the crystals, the city that's going to descend from Shamayim. The one who is the light thereof, and going to give light to all those who are in it. Yahuah Elohim, and those who bring their sacrifice, bring their offerings in the morning and evening. The one who has a continual offering and has no need of the sun anymore. Yahuah Elohim, and his son Yahusha, who sits at his right hand. So this Yom, in all honor and all praise to the one who gives life and takes it away. The one who wounds, who kills, who makes alive. The one who gave life to us, to this Yom, and allows us to even open our eyes in the morning. When the sun rises out of the portal. Yahuah Elohim. So as we move forward with the sword. But also we move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. But we will in no wise clear anyone, not even ourselves, within ourselves, but also nobody else. For this is the truth, right? So this is the book of, this is ChayParach, volume 2. ChayParach, volume 2. This is the Psalms of Solomon, Shalom. Psalms of Solomon, ChayParach, volume 2, chapter 7. Chapter 7, verse 1. And it says, do not move away from us, O Elohim. He said, you don't want Yahuah to move away from you. He said, if you move away, then you're going to find yourself in a situation where he has left you. He said, Yahuah be with you while you be with him. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. So in order for him not to move away from you, you got to make sure you stay close to him. And it says, lest those who hate us without a cause should attack us. Why? Because when people hate you without a cause, they're going to attack you out of nowhere. They're going to start saying things about you out of nowhere. You know, especially when you survive something they didn't want you to survive. When you start to continually be consistent, like they didn't want you to be consistent with, they don't like that. Right? But it says right here, for you have rejected them, O Elohim. He said you rejected them. Why? Because they were attacking us without a cause. What's the reason for doing it? Oh, is it because, you continually doing what you're doing? Oh, maybe because you're consistent in what you're doing. Or maybe you're consistent in what you're speaking. You're consistent in how you're walking. You're consistent in in your lifestyle. You're consistent in how you think. You're consistent in how you speak. That's what they don't like. That's what they don't like. Even when trials and tests and things and situations come, you're still consistent. They don't like that. They don't like the fact even when you gain some gain and then Yahuah takes it away, you're still consistent. They don't like that. They're hoping you quit and give up. They're hoping that you stop. They're hoping that you don't actually have anything. They're hoping that you don't even succeed. Because they believe that their advice is so great, and they believe that their life is so great that they actually are not. But this is right here, and they feel like you should accept all of their advice, and when you don't, you become consistent in what you're doing, then they attack you without a cause. And it says, do not let their feet trample your Kudash inheritance. He said that's all they want to do. When we talked about You are the salt. If his salt has lost its savor, you say it's all only there to be trampled underfoot, because they're going to trample you just like those people do when Yahushua was at the temple and they all were trampling on one another. He said, beware the leaven of the Pharisees. That's all they're going to do. They're going to trample over everything you say. You're going to trample over your life. They're going to do everything they possibly can, and it didn't work. You know, it didn't work, right? And it said right here, but do not turn us over to the Gentiles, the Goyim. So people who do this are just like Goyim. You just like Esau watching Jacob get taken. You just like Esau watching him on a hidden camera and you watching him get taken. You just like Asu. You just like Esau. And he said, why are you like Esau? He said, Esau is the red man. No, yeah, Esau is red. He came out fiery red. But why? Because it's all a part of the two people warring within themselves, warring against each other. Two different personalities, two different behaviors, types. That's all it is. And guess what? For if you sent, it says, for if you sent death himself, you would give him special instructions about us. Isn't that what he did in Mizraim? Then we have special instructions. He was sending death to all the firstborn in Mizraim. He was sending them a stomach. And they had special instructions to get some blood and pour it put it on the doorpost, on the top of the door, on the side post. They had special instructions to take a lamb firstborn, and then they put it on both sides of the door, on the doorpost, and cover themselves in it. And everybody got to be in the house at night. It was special instructions. When he gave Abraham a dream, and he said, Sarah, when we go into this place, these people don't fear Yahuah. They're going to kill me because of you. Right? Special instructions. Right? And the day you eat of it, Adam, you shall surely die. Special instructions. All these are a part of what? For the wages of sin is death. Special instructions. Right? All these are a part of it. Don't tell you how you say nabble for money and teach for price. It's special instructions. Why? Because these are all special instructions that people have violated. And it says right here, and it says, for if you sent death himself, you would give special instructions about us. For you are kind. That's how you know Yahuwah is kind. When Yahuwah is getting ready to send death and destruction, he gives you special instructions, you personally, and what to do. You need to leave. Death Malaki around, you need to go. It's special instructions. You ain't supposed to be here. When Yahuwah gives special instructions, and then people say, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. And then you be like the woman looking back, like Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, you say you're looking back, and next thing you know, Yahuwah gave you special instructions, and then he say you don't want to follow it. Even though you know destruction coming, a whole tsunami, he said a tsunami warning, and then people say, oh yeah, I don't need to move. I don't need to get out the way. The people say, nah, it's not going to happen. Yeah. And just like it says, he lingered and lingered and lingered, just like Luke. It's just like Luke. And you know what happens after that? Right? He said, how long do you think he's going to be before he says that? But it said right here, you would give him special instructions, for you are kind, and will not be angry enough to destroy us. Right? He said you won't be angry enough, because all this is a part of it. And when Yahuwah gives us we special people above all nations, above all people. Why would he say that? He said, so it ain't a lot of us. Exactly. It's not. So he gives special instructions to special people, and only special people will understand it in their mind. It is like a Morse code special signal for all the people who understand it, male and female. It's not for everybody, right? And then he says, while your name lives among us, we shall receive mercy. So this is why you want to stay with Yahuwah. Yahuwah be with you while you be with him. But if you forsake him, he forsake you. Why you think you get all this mercy? He said, why we get all this mercy and everybody didn't? That's why. And he says, because his name is among us. That's why you get mercy. And you know what it says? And the Goyim will not overcome us. That's all these people who are like the Goyim, who do like the Goyim, who act like the Goyim, who in the land of the Copts, how you say it? Who operate like Mizraim and Ham and the Roman Empire and the Persians and the Greeks, all the women who gather together and they just like moth. You say, and they gather together and form these groups, or all these people. You say you're greater than these people. All these men get together and form conspiracy. He said, you're greater than these things, right? It says, and the Gentiles will not overcome us, for you are our protection. And we call to you, and you will hear us. He said, I got protection. Like this is our protection. Both male and female, this is our protection. So go outside of protection, and then you'll find yourself not protected. It's like a man trying to protect his wife, but or his family, right? His bride, and then they all going out doing all types of things, and he can't protect them because he's like, where they at? I don't even know. He said, I don't know. So therefore, you can't protect something you don't know. I don't know where you are. He said, you left protection. And then he says, and we will call to you, and you will hear us. Like you're close by. It's like a woman who gets raped, and she in the city, and everybody, or she in the field, nobody can really hear her. But she in the city, everybody gonna hear her cry. But she in the field, nobody can hear you. And it says right here, for you will have compassion on the people of Yasharal forever. On who? Yeah, on the Shalosh Matah, the 12 tribes. Forever. And you know what he says? And you will not reject them. You will what? You will not reject them. See, that's what all it's about. Yahuah is always about. He's like, I'm not going to reject them when they have my name and they under my protection. I'm not going to reject them. Why would I do that? They're the only people on earth who know my name. Think about it. You're the only people who knows my name, who believe my name. So therefore, why would I reject the people? I'm looking for people to praise me. So why would I kill off all the people who praise me? That makes no sense. Ain't gonna be nobody here to praise me. You're gonna be praising Satan all day, praising idols all day, praising these famous people all day. That's all y'all gonna be doing. You're gonna be praising everybody else. And then you know what happens? And it says right here, you will have compassion on the people of Yasharal forever and will not reject them. And it says, and we are under the yoke forever and under the whip of your discipline. That's what, now you say, why we get discipline? It's all a part of correction. Storms, earthquakes, vapor of smoke, tsunamis, right? Poverty, taking riches away, casting you down to the ground. All that's a part of his correction, as Aydah wrote, as Dawid wrote, and many other people have said. But it's all a part of our correction. And you know what it says? You will direct us in the time of your support, showing mercy to the house of Yaakov on the day when you promised it to them. He said he shows mercy to the house of Yaakov, right? So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1. It is actually reported. So that means people talking about it. You know, people say somebody told. You know, people don't want to tell. Show and tell. It's reported that there is sexual or morality among you. That's fornication and adultery. So you say, is that inside of you? That's not only naturally with a man or a woman that's not married or that is married, or idol worship. And if it's of a kind that is not tolerated among the pagans. He said it's not even tolerated among the pagans. For a man has his father's wife. He said, man, you just violated Leviticus chapter 19, 18. And you are arrogant. And then you know what they're doing? They boasting about it in an overwhelming way on how he got hit. They, you know, everybody's celebrating. They celebrating. They all celebrating about it. Right, going to Leviticus. This is Leviticus chapter 19, Leviticus chapter 18. Yeah, Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 6. 18 and 6. None of you shall approach any of his close relatives to uncover nakedness, right? So now you see, he said, why should we writing this? Because it's all about the Torah. Because these are things that's not even, he said, the Goyim don't even tolerate this. And y'all doing things that Yasharal don't tolerate it, but not even the Goyim don't even do it. With the erratic religions that they got. And it says, approach any one of his close relatives to uncover his nakedness. I am Yahuah. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, which is the nakedness of your mother, for she is your mother. Why would you take your father's wife to be your husband? So to be they say, take your father's wife. Why would you do that? You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, which is the nakedness of your mother. She is your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife. It is your father's nakedness, right? So, right, all that's a part of it, right? But 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. It's actually reported that there is sexual immorality among you, and of a kind that is not tolerated among pagans, right? Because there's different kinds of sexual morality. He said this is a different kind of sexual morality, right? You know, everybody talks about different kinds, right? Going to Bereshit chapter 1. Bereshit chapter 1. Bereshit chapter 1 in verse 11. Genesis chapter 1, verse 11. And Elohim said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit-bearing trees, fruit in which is their seed, each according to its kind, on the earth, and it was so. So just like you have seeds that are sown inside of our heart and our mind, that through words, so how do you think he was able to take that woman to be his wife? Because of the seed that was sown inside of the mind and the heart, and then they believed the seed, and then the seed sprouted vegetation, the tree created after its kind, and then now they're doing behaviors that are worse than even the pagans do. Because it's after their kind. Because this kind is a little different. Right? It's a different tree. The very same thing when you see a woman who has erratic behaviors in a certain type of way, and then she says she believes in she Yasharal, or a man who says he of Yasharal, and they have erratic behaviors in different type of way, and you be like, okay, so where does seed came from? Because that seed does not radiate, or you say producing the very same things that we are supposed to produce every single week. Right? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1. It says, it actually reported that there is sexual immorality among you of a kind that is not tolerated among the pagans, right? So, and he says, for a man has his father's wife. Right? And it says, and you are arrogant. Are you not rather to mourn? Let him who has done this thing be removed from among you. He said, let this man among you be stoned. Did he say that? No, he said, get him out of there. Because it don't look right. You know how he said some things don't look right? Everybody got on, he say all black, and then one person got on pink. Or everybody got on all white, and then one person over there got on diverse colors, pretending she a virgin, or pretending he a virgin. Right? Oh, that's a part of it. For though absent in body, I am present in Ruach. He said, I can go into the spirit world and see you. I ain't there in physical, but by the Ruach, I can see that you committed adultery. You're sleeping around. You're committing fornication. I can see in the Ruach that you stole that man's wife. I can see in the Ruach that you're lying. And as if present, I have already pronounced judgment on the one who did such thing. He said, all right, it's just like I'm there. He's like, he went into the spirit. He said, I'm already there. I already pronounced judgment on you. He says, some people's judgment are open before the day of judgment, before Yahuah gathers all the people together, and then he's going to judge all Yasharal in one place. He said, I already judged you already before the judgment. You know what happens when you get judged before judgment? You know what you get the opportunity to do? He says, I have already pronounced judgment on the one who did such thing. When you are assembled in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, and my Ruach is present with the power of the Kudash of Yahushua Mashiach, Master Yahushua Mashiach, you are to deliver this man to Satan for the destruction of the flesh. And you know what people do? They go straight to this book, this verse 3 and 5, and then they say, yeah, you need to deliver that person over the destruction of the Satan. What behavior did he do? What did this person do wrong for you to do that? Did they do this behavior? No, they just said something to you that was the truth and you didn't like it and you told the person to get out. Or you told them to get out my face. That's all you did. And it was rightfully so what the person said. It ain't got nothing to do with no behavior that the person did. It was all based upon you didn't like what that person said because it was the absolute truth to your face. And it embarrassed you and it humiliated you in front of other people and you didn't like it and you told those people, you told him to get out. Or you told her to get out. That's all it's about. It's about pride and arrogance. That's the only reason people do certain things. Right? And then you know what people do? I didn't do anything wrong. When they say right here, when you are assembled in the name of the Master Yahushua Mashiach, and my Ruach is present with the power of the Kudash of the Don Master Yahushua, you are to deliver this man or woman to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, so that his Ruach may be saved in the day of Yahuah. So Yahuah, he only thinking about his natural man. He like deliver him over to Satan and let Satan take care of him. Because that's what happens when you do these behaviors. And Satan, you're gonna go through some things. Woo. You're going to go through the fire. You're finna go through some tough situations in your life until you crucify that flesh in your side of your body. Because once you get that behavior, then it becomes like that seed going to continue to produce until it dies. But he's still thinking about you can still be saved by your Ruach, man. That is how you say the new covenant. In the old covenant, that person would have been stoned to death. If he was among Yasharal, it would have been over for his life. It wouldn't even be here. He say it'd be like Fred saying, you coming to join you, right? You going to the other world. They gonna stone you. They would have stoned you and killed you immediately. Like you wouldn't even be alive, right? Stuff like that. You understand, right? And people say, I want to be. That's what I said. If Yahushua was like doing his fast judgments, a lot of people wouldn't be alive. You slept with somebody else's husband, or you've been with, or you say with somebody else's wife, or you ain't had no marriage or ketubah, and next thing you know, you out here doing stuff, right? You got no betrothal or nothing. You just out here doing stuff. That's gonna be your man. People have no idea. Deliver this man over to Satan, man or woman, that Ruach may be saved in the day of judgment. Your boasting is not good. So then people have these things inside of their people, in their community, and what they call their assemblies and their congregations and their thing, and they be boasting. They be on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook boasting. What you boasting for? You know the sad part about it, and then they want to be seen talking about they the city of the sun. They the light of the world. How are you the light of the world? But it said right here, your boasting is not good. Do you know that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? He's like, do you understand? It'll leaven your whole lump. The whole thing will be leaven, sin. Your whole people. And it says, cleanse out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you really are unleavened. For Mashiach is your Pesach, lamb, has been sacrificed. That's why we get special instructions to do what? To deliver you from death, because his name is among you. So you get special instructions to deliver you from death. Yahushua Mashiach is our Pesach lamb, and he has given us special instructions to deliver us from death. What do you think he would say? Deliver him over to Satan, that his body may be destroyed, and he may what? His Ruach may be saved on the great day of judgment. Because we still got a great day of judgment. It's a big, people say, man, it's a big old fest. Like a music festival or an event. Right? It's like the Super Bowl. Right? The great day of judgment is like the Super Bowl. You know what you say? It's like the height. It's like the Olympics. Right? And you ain't been training properly, you ain't got your mind right, and you ain't ready to go, and guess what happened? He finna condemn everybody. You know, people do these things for, you know, in the world, but they're not even knowing that the great day of judgment, when he gathered all the people, Yasharal and everybody together, and he has a big, giant, huge judgment seat. It's huge too. Man, they said, man, that thing's so big, you wouldn't even know how big it is. And he gonna be sitting on it with 12 Shalakim judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal, and then all those who joined to him. And then after he finished that, then he gonna judge the Goim. Do you know how big that is? That's huge. This big old huge tribunal, right? He's gonna be huge. Think about it. He's gonna be judging everybody's life from almost eons. Not only in the Rakia, in the firmament, but also here on earth. And in the center of the earth. It's huge. So it's like this. And it says right here, let us therefore celebrate the festival not with the old leaven of malice and evil, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So all that's a part of these special instructions. But why is this important? Why is this important, right? So this is a book of, this is the second book of Adam and Yahuah. Second book of Adam and Yahuah. This is the second book of Adam and Yahuah. This is the second book of Adam and Yahuah. Yeah, interesting. Second book of Adam and Yahuah. Second book of Adam and Yahuah, chapter. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, second book of Adam and Yahuah, chapter, I think it's 16. 16. And it says, when Enos was 900 years old, all the children of Seth and of Canaan and firstborn with their wives and children gathered around him, asking for a barak from him. When he prayed over them and baraked them, and made them a promise, and promised them by the blood of Abel, the just, saying to them, do not let even one of your children go down from this Kudash mountain. They say this is what we call special instructions. You know how we say? We all have these special instructions, right? And do not let them make friends with the children of Cain, the murderer. He's like, these are special instructions to deliver you from death. And again, when it says, then Enos called his son Canaan and said to him, look, my son, and set your heart on your people and establish them in righteousness and in innocence, and stand ministering before the body of our father Adam all the days of your life. After this, Enos rested and died. He was 985 years old. And Canaan wrapped him up and laid him in the cave of treasures on the left of his father Adam, and made offerings for him, following the customs of his father. And get what it says. Yeah. So going to the next chapter. Yeah. Page 149 of this book. It says, after the death of Enos, Canaan led his people in righteousness and innocence, as his father had commanded him. He also continued to minister before the body of Adam in the cave of treasures. Then when he had lived 910 years, suffering and sickness came upon him. And when he was about to enter into rest, he said, we laboring to do what? Right, going to, in the book of Hebrews chapter 4. Hebrews chapter 4 in verse 1. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 1. It says, therefore, while the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us fear lest any should seem to have failed to reach it. Because we got special instructions not to go down. He got special instructions not to come down from the mountain. They got special instructions to deliver him from death. Verse 2, for good news came to us just as to them. It came to us just like them. Just like the children of, Adam, good news came to them just like to us. And guess what it says? But the message they heard did not benefit them because they were not united by Amunah with those who listened, right? That's why. And it says, for we who have believed enter that rest, as he said, I swore my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. They had special instructions. When they came out, remember they had all them instructions? They had a lot more than what they gave us in these, in these books. They took all of them out. But at the same time, they had special instructions. Although his works were finished from the foundation of the world, for he has somewhere spoken of the seventh day, Shabath. Swore not rest law word perfection. And it says, in this way, Elohim rested on the Shabath day, swore not rest law word perfection. All his work from all his works. And again, another passage, they shall not enter my rest, right? So, going back to second book of Adam and Yahuah, chapter XV, verse 2. Then, when he had lived 910 years, suffering and sickness came upon him, and when he was about to enter into rest and die, all the fathers with their wives and their children came to him and baraked him and earnestly urged them by the blood of Habal. We are not redeemed with corruptible things, silver and gold, but our precious blood of Yahushua Mashiach. Because Cain slew his brother, the murderer, right? Even though Cain had the mark on his head, remember, Yahushua ain't died yet. So all they think they remember, that murderer Cain, right? They ain't know nothing about any Yahushua Mashiach. That's all they knew. They knew Cain was that murderer. That murderer Cain, he killed Habal, innocent Abel, right? It says, the just saying to them, let no one among you descend from this Kudash mountain. You got special instructions to deliver you from death. We always get special instructions because you got Yahuwah's name is among you. Remember, Cain only got one letter of his name in his forehead. That's in other writings, but remember, he only had like one letter. Just because he repented a little bit. But it said right here, that's why they only know their alphabet. That's why they only know like one letter, two letters. They don't know all the alphabet. They need to know them. But it says, the just saying to them, let no one among you descend from the Kudash mountain, and do not make friends with the children of Cain, the murderer. Don't you do it. Why? Mahaliel, his firstborn son, received this commandment from his father, who baraked him and died. He said, Cain, that murderer. He said, don't you make friends with him. Don't you come down from the mountain either. You know what happened? Then Mahaliel embalmed him with sweet spices and laid him in the cave of treasures and with his fathers, and they made offerings for him who was of the custom of their fathers, right? So you notice how they keep getting the same instructions over and over and over again. Hey, man, don't come down from the mountain. Don't come down from the mountain. Don't come down from the mountain, right? So go to the next chapter, XVI. Then Mahaliel led his people and fed them in righteousness, right? Notice how everybody keep doing the same thing. Isn't that what we see in Numbers chapter 7? Everybody was doing the same offering every single, then they had every single month. Right? But it said right here, and Mahaliel led his people and fed them in righteousness and innocence and watched them to see what they had no relationship with the children of Cain. Notice how they keep talking about the same thing. He also continued in the cave of treasures, praying and ministering before the body of their father Adam. Because you know that the body, he said, why would he say that? Why would the translator put that? Because we are all one body, members in particular. You know how we talked about some people are the hand, if you were the hand and the foot, everybody had their own little part. Oh, he said ministering before the body of Adam, but they didn't know that. But it's asking Elohim for mercy on himself and on his people until he was 870 years old when he fell sick. Because we all gonna die one day. But they living now 800, 900 years old. You know why? Because they ain't come down from the mountain. And he wasn't making, he said, don't be around Cain. you've been around Cain, man, you might get killed tomorrow. They're gonna stab you in the neck. Matter of fact, you might get ran over by a car during the drag racing, right? They be doing all types of crazy stuff to the Cain, but it's that stay in the house, right? You say, how you master living? Staying away from certain people. How you live that long? That's how you live that long. People say it ain't no masterpiece. It ain't hard. He also continued in the cave of treasures, praying and ministering before the body of their father Adam, asking Elohim for mercy on himself and on his people, until he was 870 years old when he fell sick. Then all the children gathered around him to see him and to ask for his barak on them all, before he left the world. Then Maliel rose and sat on his bed, his tears streaming down his face, and he called to his eldest son, Jared. Now here we go. He's like, man, you my oldest son, Jared, who came to him. He then kissed his face and said to him, Jared, my son, I solemnly urge you by him who made Shamayim and earth, Yahuah himself, to watch over your people and to feed them in righteousness. Righteousness is everlasting righteousness. Now, Torah is the truth, right? But they ain't had all the Torah. They ain't had all these writings that we got. Only thing they had was their father Adam. There's some other writings they had. Then they had what Cain did and how they offered, and then they had the other stuff, right? The Hanuk calendar, right? They had all that. They didn't have all this other stuff we had. They didn't have Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, right? They didn't have none of that. But it said right here, it says, to watch over you, your people, and to feed them in righteousness and in innocence, and not to let one of them go down from the Kudash mountain to the children of Cain, for he will perish with them. But he said, you already know. You're going to get stabbed, you're going to get robbed, you're going to get left for dead, right? You're going to lose all your wealth. You're going to lose all your money, right? You're going to try to think you're going to get gain. And left them out, you ain't going to get no gain, right? All that's a part of it, right? And you know what it says? Not let even one of them go down from the Kudash mountain to the children of Cain, that he will perish with them. Here, my son, there will come a great destruction upon the earth because of them. Because of who? Because of them. Because of what they're doing on the earth. And you see it today. Because of the children of Cain, or he say the children of Satan, that's why he's going to bring all this stuff on the earth. Elohim is angry with the world and will destroy them with waters. He almost did it the other week. Right? He had a big tsunami warning. He like, man, it was almost, he's like, yeah, that's a watch. He said, I give you a warning then. That was just a little watch. He said, y'all can do that too. Again. But it's not going to be the type of water you're thinking. Right? There ain't going to be no flood. I also know that your children will not listen to you. Right? Of course they're not. This is Ezekiel chapter 33. Yekaziel chapter 33 and verse 1. Yekaziel 33 verse 1. The word of Yahuah came to me, son of Adam, speak to your people. You know what he just told Jared? And say to them, if I bring the sword upon a land, and all the people of the land take a man from among them and make him their watchman, and if he sees the sword coming upon the land and blows the Turah and warns the people, then if anyone who hears the sound of the Turah does not take warning, and the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the Turah and did not take warning, his blood should be upon himself. But if he had taken warning, he would have saved his life. Why do you think Shaul was trying to save the people? He was trying to save the man. He said, deliver him over to Satan that his body may be saved in the great day of judgment. Because if his flesh don't get crucified, man, it's not going to be, you can't bring that works of the flesh into the kingdom of Malkuth Shamayim. Verse 6 says, but if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the Turah so that the people are not warned, the sword comes and takes any one of them, the person is taken away in his iniquity. Because that's the whole point. Why do you think Shaul told him to deliver him over to Satan? Because he wanted to be taken into iniquity. He didn't want that to happen to him. Oh, they missed that too, huh? Because he was trying to save his life. But his blood, I will require the watchman's hand. That's why Shaul was saying, I'm not there, but I'm in there in Ruach. He said, I got to make sure I tell you. Because I'm trying to get in too. Because if he got blood on his hand when he go to the day of judgment, what do you think going to happen to Shaul? Shaul like, I ain't going to get in. Shaul like, I got to get in the kingdom. Y'all ain't going to get me. I'm not going in those Sheol. Not for you. I'm trying to save your life. I make sure I tell you though, just so that even though he formed all congregations too, so make sure he makes sure I gotta go tell these people I'm trying to get in the kingdom, right? I created the church of the Corinthian congregation in the Ephesus. Look at all these things look at all these things I did. Look at all these things I done. Shaul like, man, I don't even know what I just did. I just added more stuff to my life. And if I don't tell these people, I ain't gonna get in the kingdom. That's what happens when you run out here and you start doing a whole bunch of stuff. And you be getting all these things. Be like, yeah, I'm going to get this one and that one. I got like 65,000 congregations. And I don't know. I said, okay. You better make sure you tell them. Because if you don't, that person is taking his iniquity, but his blood I will require at the watchman's hands. If you don't say nothing, you be like Eli. You knew that your son you knew what they were doing. You ain't said nothing. So you know what happens to you? He says, your blood is on your hands, right? And he said, your hands ain't clean, your yard and your cuff. You know, you're going to open your right hand up to get fellowship with Yahushua Mashiach on the day of judgment. You be like, man, what's all that blood on your hands? He's like, I ain't shaking your hand. Ain't going to be on right hand of fellowship. Ain't going to be entering the kingdom with Abraham, Isaac, and your code. He be like, man, you didn't even wash your hand. You need to get up out of here, right? It says, verse 7 says, so you, son of Adam, I have made a watchman for the house of Yasharal. Whenever you hear a word from my mouth, you shall give them warning from me. And if I say to the wicked, O wicked one, you shall surely die, and you do not speak to warn that wicked to turn from his way, that wicked person shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. But if you warn the wicked to turn from his way, and he does not turn from his way, that person shall die in his iniquity, but you will deliver your soul, right? Your soul from the great day of judgment, right? So in the book of, going back to second book of Adam and Ka'ur, chapter XVI, in verse, XV, actually going to chapter XV. Where were we? XVI chapter 4. Then Malachi arose and sat on his bed, and his tears streaming down his face. And he came to his eldest son, Jared, who came to him. He then kissed his face and said to him, Jared, my son, I solemnly urge you by him who made Shammai and earth, Yahuah, to watch over your people, and to feed them in righteousness and in innocence, and not to let one of them go down from the Kudash mountain to the children of Cain, or he will perish with them. Hear, my son, there will come a great destruction upon the earth because of them. Elohim is angry with this world and will destroy them with waters. It's like he's going to destroy the world with fire this time. But I also know that your children will not listen to you, and that they will go down from this mountain and have relations with the children of Cain, and they shall perish with them. Why? Because they're going to marry their daughters. Their sons going to marry their daughters, and their daughters going to marry their sons, just like Cain. Because what happened to Shamshun? He desired the woman of the Goyim, and he went to go marry her, and then they set him up. They swindled him, and then he had to kill 30 people. Then he came back, and he gave it to somebody else. Then he burned down the fox field, and then he went all the way to the leaders, and then Yehuda gave him up. And then he went between two pillars, because he wanted to marry the uncircumcised woman, just like the children of Cain. And then he ended up between two pillars, and he died with the Philistines. So leaving the mountain ain't got nothing to do with leaving a physical mountain. It's leaving the understanding of what Yahuah said. It's the seed that one has within oneself. It's the bar you leave your mind and turn you into the cause, and you end up dying with the very people. But even Shamshun's, own strength that he required to get back, he said, give me my strength back. And he killed more when he was in his death, when he was alive, just like Yahuah did. He saved more people in his death than he did when he was alive. Right? But that's what all of the encompassing of it, right? But it said right here, verse 6, hear, my son, there will come a great destruction upon the earth because of them. Elohim is angry with the world and will destroy them with waters. But I also know that your children will not listen to you, and that they will go down from this mountain and have relation with the children of Cain, and they will perish with them. My son, teach them and watch over them, so that no guilt will be on you because of them. Now the blood gonna be upon your hand. Now you see why Shaul was like, Kof, what you doing over here? Eating with the going. Now you see why why you think Shaul came at Kof when he was eating with the Gentile going, and they were doing things, they weren't walking upright. Why do you think he did that? So the blood won't be on his hand. So when he go on the great day of judgment, his hand gonna be clean. That's the only reason he did it. He said, man, why you going at Kof like that? Because he was making other people. You making other people do the same thing. That's why. They need to be checked. He said you need to be around people. He said if the person that proclaimed himself to be this person, and then you can't check him, you're gonna find yourself with blood on your hand. You know how he say, like little Shamuel who ain't know nothing. Tell me now, let whatever Yahuah said, let it happen to you, right? So all that's a part of it. I gotta tell you, regardless if you want to hear it or not, right? My son, teach them and watch over them, so that no guilt be upon you because of them. And Mahaliel continued saying to his son Jared, when I die, embalm my body and lay it in the cave of treasures, by the bodies of my fathers. Then stand by my body and pray to Elohim and take care of them, and fulfill your ministry before them, until you enter into rest yourself, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. We labor into that rest. So being that people don't want to listen, it don't really matter if you listen or not. He said, as long as you speak, it's over. He said, I'm not going to Sheol because of y'all. It ain't gonna be on my hand. He said the hands are clean, right? He said, you want to have the totality in your right hand, and if you know, he's like, I ain't shaking my hand. You ain't shaking your hand. You should be like, you give me your right hand a falsehood. You scared to speak the truth. And then he said right here, and Maliel then Barak all his children, and then he laid down to his bed and entered into the rest like his fathers, right? Just like everybody else, like Hanuk, right? Like Methuselah, all the people that were before. Everybody entered the rest. But when Jared saw that his father Maliel was dead, he wept and grieved and embraced and kissed his hands and his feet. So did all his children. Why? Because everybody had the same family, all stayed in the same place. Biologically, like we ain't talking about spiritually. These are biological family members staying in one spot. And then when his father died, he would give it to the son to carry on the actual understanding of it. Just like Abraham to Yitzhak and Yitzhak to Yaakov, right? It was all part of this whole construct of allowing the teachings of it to continue to pass on. Where he says Sarah to Rebecca, and Rebecca to, all these things, right? All that's a part of it. Because that's all a part of it. Because when Yaakov went to Yitzhak, when Rakal and Leah finally met Rebecca, then you see all these transitionings going on, right? And it said right here, and embraced and kissed his hand and his feet, so did all his children. And his children embalmed him carefully, and laid him in the bodies of his fathers. Then they stood and mourned him 40 days. It was 40 days. It said 40 days, right? Skipping over. Chapter XVII, page 152. Then Jared kept his father's commandment and arose like a lion over his people. Man, he was like a roaring lion, right? Go to the book of Joel chapter 4. Joel, Yahuah, chapter 4 and verse 1. Actually, no, Joel chapter 3, verse 1. Joel chapter 3, verse 1. Actually, Joel chapter 2, verse 1. Yahuah chapter 2, verse 1. He says, blow the Turah in Saum, sound the alarm in my Kudash mountain. Where do you think they were at? He was like a lion over them. And you know what he said? Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. That's why he was like a lion. For behold, the day is coming, it is coming near. He said, we're going to destroy the world because of them. The children of Cain. You know what he said? A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like blackness, there is spread upon the mountains. That's how you going to know. He said, so why do you think he told him not to come down from the mountain? How is you going to know he coming back? He's like, why do you think he told him to stay over the mountain? He's like, when you see thick clouds and darkness and all this stuff, blackness, you ain't gonna be able to see it. You ain't gonna be able to see it down the mountain. You know how people down, you down in the mountain. You went down the mountain, you ain't gonna see it. You ain't gonna see it coming. But it's gonna be like, boom. Man, you can see all types of clouds in the mountains, boy. You go down from the mountain, you ain't gonna see it. I'm telling you, a hurricane gonna come on you like you ain't gonna know the hurricane coming. You gonna see the wind blowing, you see the dolphins jumping in the water. Dolphins, why are dolphins swimming over there? Why are all the fish running over there? Why are all the birds leaving? You're like, what's going on? Why the sea going back like 100, 200 feet into the ocean? What's getting ready to happen? And why all the bears running from the seashore? And what? They already know. They already know. A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like blackness, there is spread upon the mountains. A great and powerful people. Where are they going to be at? Where the great and powerful people going to be at? Now you see why they don't come down from the mountain. Like there never has been before, nor will be again after them, through the years of all generations. Right? You say, man, look at that. Right, so this is the book of he said, why was he like a lion? Right, so this is the book of Bereshit, chapter 49. Chapter 49, Bereshit 49 and 9. Bereshit 49 and 9. It says, Yehudah is a lion's cub. He said, man, he was like a lion over them. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He stooped down, he crouches as a lion, a Ari, and as a lioness, both male and female. Oh, he said, it ain't just about the male lion. He was like, yeah, both male and female. Who dares rouse him? Well, he said, who's going to rouse them up? 2 lions. You know, he says, the scepter shall not depart from Yehudah, nor a ruler staff from between his feet, until tribute comes to him, and unto him shall be the obedience of the peoples. Now, he said, why would he say all of that? This is Yeshayahu chapter 2 and 1. Yeshayahu chapter 2 and 1. It says, Yahuah, it says, the word of Yahuah, Yeshayahu, the son of Ammuz, saw concerning Yehudah and Jerusalem. It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of Yahuah's house, the mountain of the house of Yahuah, shall be established in the highest mount of the mountains, and shall be lifted up above the hills, and all the goyim shall flow to it. He said, they're going to flow to it. Why? And many people shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuah, to the house of Yaakov, and he may teach us his ways. What do you think Jared was teaching on the mountain? Because the children of Cain were down the mountain. So the children of Cain down the mountain, then they got to come up to the mountain to be to the house of Yaakov. That's what Yaakov's house is. To do what? The house of Elohim Yaakov, and they're going to learn what you do on that mountain. What y'all be doing out there? We don't do this. What you do. We don't do that. You know, that's what they did when they came and get the indigenous people. They try to pretend like they would come and they come and they say, yeah, you know, we want to study what y'all doing. And then they come try to take you down. They study everything you're doing, your language, your lashon. They study all the stuff you do. Even how you plot, scheme, you kill Yahusha. They studied everything. They knew how to do it all. They know how to make it. They know how to make it come on the mountain and make it dark clouds and make it look like he coming back too. They can do all types of stuff. They can make a fake moon in the sky. They can put holograms. Man, they can do all types of stuff. Make you look like you somebody. Yeah, it's just like the book of Revelations, right? And make your head spin, and you don't even know. You're in the most deceptive time in the history of the earth. You don't even know it. Most people don't even know they're in the most deceptive time in the most history of the earth. And the earth been here longer than you. Some of these trees been here longer than you. They done seen all types of things run through here. They're not going to tell you, though, because they don't talk. But at the same time, they go talk to Yahuah in the spirit world, though. That's above people's thought process. Like the moon be talking, yeah. The moon done seen all types of beings run through here. The sun, too. And all the water molecules, remember it all. They go talk to Yahuah and be like, man, these people are crazy. You see what they be doing in the ocean? They be knowing. I know people don't think they do. It shall be established in the highest mountains, shall be lifted up above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. And many people shall come and say, come, let us go to the mountain of Yahuah, to the house of Jacob. He may teach us of his way. So this pattern has always been here since Bereshit. This pattern has always been here. It's never stopped. It's just the fact that they got us to come down from the mountain. They took us from the top of the mountain. That's all they did. They brought us from our higher self to our lower self. Our higher self rides upon the wings of the wind, and we feel for our akla. The lower self brings us to their behaviors. And the lower self, they don't like. They love in their lower self. We love that. When you're a higher self, then you understand it. It says, and ye will walk in my paths, right? That means you're going to walk in all the commandments, all the statutes, things not to do. Right? Forget a feast day right now. He says, stop doing the things that Yahuah don't like. Then go keep a feast day. Don't be eating no food when you're doing stuff that Yahuah hate. Says that. That's like you showing up at a dinner table. You got black paint on your face. You were like, what you doing? Like, what you doing? You coming to the feast day looking like that? Right, that's a whole nother subject. Yeah, that went over people's head, right? That'll go over people's head. Come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuah, to the house of Jacob, Elohim, and they will teach us of his ways. And we will walk in his paths. For out of Saun shall go forth the Torah, and the word of Yahuah from Jerusalem. Why? Because it's in the mountain. Going back to the second book of Adam and Yahuah. Second book of Adam and Yahuah, chapter XVII, right? Because they took this stuff out. They don't want you to know this, so I'm not reading it. Then Jared kept his father's commandments and arose like a lion over the people. Now you see why. Right? And he fed them with righteousness and innocence. Right? So he was like a lion, but he was still in righteousness and innocence, right? He was innocent, which means he was telling them exactly what they need to do. Now, if he didn't warn them, then he wouldn't be innocent anymore, and the blood would be upon him. And commanded them to do nothing without his consent. He said, man, don't be doing nothing without me knowing about it. Because this is his actual family. Like, this ain't like some random people that just be running around here just jumping your life. Right? These are the actual biological people. This was because he was afraid for them that they should go to the children of Cain. That's the whole point. He's like, I'm scared. Like Shabath would say, man, I'm afraid. This, by any means, right, let me go there. Right? People like, why he said this? Right? People say, why people be saying stuff? This is how you know these books is in there. And he said, how do you know? He said, how do you know these books? How do you know they took it out? That's how you know. Right? This is the 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. I wish you would bear with me in a little foolishness. Do bear with me, for I feel a divine jealousy for you, since I have betrothed you to one husband to present you a pure virgin of Mashiach. You know how hard it is? He said, man, I got to present you a pure virgin of Mashiach Yahushua. I got to keep you away from everything, everybody, every thought process, every single word, gossip, slander, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, arrogance, fornication, adultery. I gotta keep you away from people who do. Don't even eat with them. Matter of fact, don't even. What are you doing? Right? If you're a virgin, you ain't gonna sleep with somebody. You ain't gonna be next to somebody who is sexually out of like 100 women, right? No, why would you do that? That's like a man. That's why he said don't eat with him. Don't even do it. You know what's gonna happen if you do that? Your chances of losing your virginity is very, very high. Right? That's all he's trying to do. It says, and you're talking about Ruach man now. That's why he said, let the body be destroyed and the Ruach be saved, right? Notice the fleshly behaviors versus the inward behaviors are two different things, right? But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Yahuah by his cunning, your thoughts will be led astray from the sincere, pure devotion to Mashiach. That's why he afraid. He was scared. Right, going back to the same book, Adam and Yahuah, XVII. And it says, yeah. It says right here, this was because he was afraid for them that they should go to the children of Cain. And he gave them orders repeatedly and continued to do so until the end of the 485th year of his life. And at the end of these years, there came him a sign. As Jared was standing like a lion before the bodies of his fathers, praying and warning his people, Satan envied him and produced a beautiful specter, because Jared would not let his children to do anything without his counsel. He's like, so Satan envy. And he said, you get envy. That's how you know when people envy you. He's like, man, this person ain't stopping. This person continually talking. This person continually, he's consistent. So Satan gets envious. He's like, why is he so consistent? He needs to stop, right? So then Satan get envious, and then you know what happens? Satan appeared to him with 30 men of his host, right? So Jared ain't deep like that. You know how Jared only got his family, his children, right? He ain't deep. I ain't deep with 30, like, you know. Them dudes, Satan deep. I ain't got all this. Yeah, Jared only got his family, his children, right? And that's it. And his extended family. That's it. Real family. But these people come with 30 deep. You know, when Satan get envious, boy, woo. Because we need him in subjection, right? It says, Satan appeared to him with 30 men of his host in the form of handsome men, right? They look good, too. And you know what happened? Satan himself was the oldest and tallest among them with fine beard. Boy, he had that beard, boy. You know, people say, I got that beard. I got that beard. I mean, I'm righteous, boy. You know, you'll cut your beard off like Dawid said, man, don't come back unless you come back with your beard grown back. Boy, they don't mean nothing. They still had them worthless men among them, too. Even though they went to go to the other side, they had beards and everything. Right? But that's a whole nother subject. So this beard thing ain't nothing new. So what color do you think they were? Now we gotta talk about what color you think they were. What color people you think they were? Right? This ain't that hard, right? This only culture. We just showing you the culture of Yasharal with this, right? So what color you think these people were? Right? You know, people say, I want to make this up. They stood at the mouth of the cave and called out to Jared, who was in the cave. He's like, man, he said, they was outside the cave. Now you see why Yahushua said this. People say, why Yahushua said this? And you say, why did Yahushua say this? There's another, right? This is the book of Matthew chapter 12, verse 46. Matthew 12, verse 46. This ain't that hard. It says, and while he was still speaking to the people, behold, his mother and his brothers stood outside, right? So they were outside the cave, asking to speak to him. He's like, man, we want to talk to you. Isn't that what they were doing to Jared? Like, come on out the cave with them beards and 30 people, right? Don't they be, amazingly, don't the people do that today? They be standing outside, they be trying to get you to come out there, man, come talk to us, right? Don't they do that today? Because they envy you. Man, people have no idea what's going on in this world. This behavior is nothing new. It's nothing new. This ain't nothing new, man. I know it sounds funny, but it's nothing new. While he was still speaking to the people, behold, his mother, his brother stood outside asking to speak to him. But he replied to the man who told him, who is my mother who is my mother and who is my brothers? Man, who are all these men outside with these beards? Now you see why he said, who is my mother and my brother? Now you see you can't love mother, father, sister, brother, son, daughter, houses, or anything more than me. Yahushua was actually showing you an example right here. You know what he said? And stretching out his hand toward his disciples, right, those who follow him, because they follow him with their whole thing. He said, here are my mothers and my brothers, right, because his disciples, those who followed him, both male and female, lion and lioness. Zakar Nakubar, you know what he said? Who like a lion, he stood over the people. The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda. Lions and lionesses. You know what he said? For whoever does the will of my Father who's in Shamayim is my brother and my sister. Now you see why he said these people ain't doing the will of my Father. Why they outside, these beards, right? You got all these 30 people. You're like, man, you 30 deep. He's like, man, you ain't. Yeah, his brother had beards and stuff. They were lying like this too. But they were still righteous though. They were still keeping the commandments, but it was just the fact that he was speaking. It was just trying to show you I'm speaking, and I don't care if you my mother, my brother, my sister, my whoever the heck you think you are. When I speak to the bar, I'm trying to get the blood off my hands before I die. That's why Yahushua was doing it. He could care less. I'm just trying to get the blood off my hands before I die. That's all he was doing. Because he didn't want to go remember, he couldn't go to Shamayim with guilt. He couldn't go to judgment with guilt, so he had to get all the blood off his hand. That's why he was doing it for. That's why he said, who my brother, my mother, my sister, right? He was making sure I'm getting in, right? That's what people were trying to understand. Yahushua was trying to get in. That's all he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to do nothing else. I'm just trying to get in. Right? That's all he's trying to do. After I speak, I'm done. Right? Satan appeared to him with 30 men of his host and in the front of handsome men, in form of handsome men. Satan himself was the oldest and tallest among them, with fine beard. And they stood at the mouth of the cave and called out to Jared, who was in the cave. He came out to them and found them looking like handsome men. So he came out. He stopped talking. Now, what Yahushua did? What did Yahushua do? What did Yahushua do differently than him? Yahushua said, who's my mother, my brother, my sister? I don't care if these 30 beards outside. Right? Yahushua was like, I don't care if these 30 beards outside. I'm standing right here. But Jared stopped what he was doing and went on out and talked to the man. That's what Yahushua did not do. Because Yahushua was coming to fulfill the Torah. And he had special instructions from his father. But Jared didn't listen. Jared did something different. And get what he said. And get what he said. And he came out to them and found them looking like handsome men, full of light and very beautiful. But they looked like they were illuminated. But it was like the man came with Abraham with the purple robe on, with the scepter in his hand. He said, I come to deliver you from Leviathan, right? It was beautiful too. Or the man who came to Asenath in the tower. He's like, man, look at this, right? He was in awe of their beauty and their looks, right? That's why Yahushua said, judge no man according to the outward man. You know what he said? Let me read this too, right? Right. He said this too. Right. This is the book of Matthew. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 23, verse 1. Then Yahushua said to the crowd and his disciples, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Mashah's seat. Beware he keep talking about these beings, right? He's like, look at these scribes and Pharisees, right? Beards, everything. It look good too. People have no idea about Yahushua Mashiach. They don't even know. He funny too, but at the same time, this thing funny. So, what he said. So do and observe what they tell you, right? You know what Jared getting ready to do? He getting ready to do what these beings tell him to do, right? Ain't that something? And they getting ready to do it. It says, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Mashah's seat. So do and observe what they tell you, but do not do the works that they do. Now you see, you're going to read the rest of this too. Let me get through it. For they preach, but do not practice. They said they talk about it. They got them beards. They look at everything they got. They look good too. We're going to get through it too. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move them with one finger. They lazy as you don't know what. They tell you to do a whole bunch of stuff, but they don't do nothing. They do all their deeds to be seen by others. Right? You say, hey, I can't even believe these beautiful. Look how beautiful they are. Look how good they look, right? Woo! My goodness, right? For they make their phylacteries broad and their fringes long. And they love the place of honor at the feast and the best seats. And you ain't new. You ain't in none. You ain't shafal, boy. You ain't humble. That's not them. They not humble. In the congregation, synagogue, and greetings in the marketplace, and being called teacher by others. But you do not be called teacher, for you have one teacher. And you are all brothers, right? Going back to, we're going to get to this. And it says right here, going to verse 5, Adam and Yahuah. they stood at the mouth of the cave and called out to Jared, who was in the cave. And he came out to them and found them looking like handsome men, full of light and very beautiful. They were the city of the sun. And he was in awe of their beauty and their looks, and wondered to himself whether they might not be of the children of Cain. He's like, man, y'all might not be, y'all ain't of the children of Cain, but y'all look too good not to be of the children of Cain. Y'all came to the mountain too? You know how people be pretending? You coming to the mountain too? Man, you ain't the children of Cain coming to the mountain like that, right? Verse 7 says, he said also in his heart, the children of Cain cannot come up to the height of this mountain, and none of them are this handsome as they appear to be. And among them, these men, there is not one of my kindred. Among these men, there is not one of my kindred. So they must be strangers, right? He's saying all this in mind. Because the children of Cain, they will never come up to this mountain. Why are they showing up? Right? This is how he said, and you know, that's how people need to look at their life and people that come into their life, right? That's the whole point of this, right? Right, because this is the whole point, right? So this is the book of, because it's not. Yeah, so this is the book of Yahuah. Right, the book of Yahuah. Actually, go to Luke. Let's go to Luke. Yeah, let's go to Yahuah chapter 6. Yahuah chapter 6. Yahuah chapter 6, verse 25. It says, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body and what you will put on. Right? Because you see what they had on? They had all these beautiful things, and they were making sure they looked good on the outward man. And he says, is not your life more than food and your body more than clothing? Look at the birds and the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather in the barns, and yet the Heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more valuable than they? And which of you, being anxious, can add a single hour to his lifespan? He said, who can do that? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field. And then what they had on? How they grow and neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Shalom in all his kabod was not arrayed like one of these. But if Elohim so clothed the grass of the field, which today is alive, and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will ye not much clothe you, or you of little Muna? Therefore do not be anxious at what you're going to eat or what you're going to wear, for the Goyim seek after these things. He said, I don't know if these people are the children of Cain, they will never come to this mountain. He said, why would they come here looking like that? He's like, why would you come here looking like that? And your Heavenly Father knows that you have need of them. But seek ye first the Malkuth and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. He's like, how are you coming to this mountain? Right? It doesn't make no sense. Like, why would you come up here? Right, so this book of Yahuah chapter 10 and verse 26. Yahuah chapter 10, verse 26. Right, it says, so have no fear of them, for nothing that is covered will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. When I tell you in the dark, say in the light. Like skipping over to verse 30. But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore you are more valuable than many sparrows. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I will acknowledge before my Father in Shamayim. But whoever denies me before men, I will deny for my Father in Shamayim. Right, that's the whole point. Going to verse 7 of Adam and Kawur, and it says, and he said also in his heart, the children of Cain cannot come up to the height of this mountain, and none of them are this handsome, and as these appear to be. And among these men there is not among my kindred, among these men there is not one of my kindred. So they must be strangers. Then Jared exchanged a greeting with them, and he said to the oldest among them, My father, tell me how you are, my father, tell me how you are so wonderful. And tell me, who are these with you? And they look to me like strange men. Then the oldest began to weep, and it said, and the rest wept with him, right? So they got them fake tears. So they look beautiful, they look great, but they got fake tears. And you know what else they said? And he said to Jared, I am Adam, whom Elohim made first. And this is Ha'abal, my son, who was killed by his brother Cain, whose heart was influenced by Satan to murder. And this is my son Sheth, whom I asked Yahuah to give me to comfort me when I no longer had Abel. Then this one is my son Enos, son of Sheth, and that the other is Canaan, the son of Enos, and that the other one is Mahaliel, the son of Canaan, your father. But Jared remained wondering at their appearance and at the words of the elder to him. Why? Because they lying. Fake tears, and then they trying to pretend like they like the patriarchs before him. You know, it's like the patriarchs. You're trying to pretend like you like them. You're trying to pretend like you like Adam, Ka'ur, Sheth, Enos. You're trying to pretend like you're like a righteous person. You outwardly look like you're righteous, but inwardly you're a liar, and you got fake tears. And he could see, and Jared still can't discern between good and evil, still, because he left and went to greet them. And you know what happens after that? Then this one is my son Enos. Let's go on. Verse 12. But Jared remained wondering at their appearance. He's still looking at the outward man, and at the words of the elder. Now he's still pondering in his heart what he said. Then the oldest said to him, do not stand there in awe, my son. We now live in the land north of the garden, which Elohim created before the world. He would not let us live there, but placed us inside the garden below, which you are now living. After I transgressed, he made me come out of it, and I was left he said, left to live in this cave. That was when great horrible troubles came upon me. And he says, and when the time of my death drew near, I commanded my son Seth to tend to this people well. My commandment is to be handed from one to another, and to the end of the generations to come. Right? So he's trying to say that I'm the one, right? Saying that he came and gave him that commandment. But Jared, my son, we live in a beautiful regions while you live here in misery. He's like, you misery on this mountain. Look where we live at. Your father Mahaliel informed me that a great flood would come and overwhelm the earth. Therefore, my son, fear for your sakes. I rose and took my children with me and came here to visit you and your children. I found you standing in this cave weeping, and your children scattered about this mountain in the heat and in misery. But my son, as we missed our way and came as far as this, we found other men below this mountain who inhabit a beautiful country full of trees and fruits and all manner of lush green vegetation. It is like a garden. And it's just like the garden. Isn't that what you desire to go back to? And when we found them, we thought they were you, until your father Mahaliel told me that they were no such thing. Now, my son, listen to my advice. Right, here we go. Everybody got some advice. Beards, right? You got looking good, fake tears, doing all these things. Everybody gonna do everything they possibly can to get you to take their advice. Not even knowing they got envy in their heart. They'll dress up and look good too. Not even knowing they got envy in their heart. And their advice ain't their advice for you to succeed. They trying to get you to stop what you're doing. Now, my son, listen to my advice and go down to them, you and your children. You will rest from all this suffering you are in. He said, man, if you go down this mountain, you go get this thing, you go get that thing. If you go down, you're going to stop suffering. The suffering you in, it'll end, man. Just please take my advice and your suffering will end. It says, if you will go down to them, then arise, take your children and come with us to our garden. Come to our garden. There you shall live in our beautiful land, and you shall rest from all your troubles which you and your children are now living in. He said, you say, in these little times of your little suffering, Satan will come, and you know he'll come and he'll be like, yeah, you know, your suffering will end. These demons will come and say, your suffering gonna end, man. All you gotta do is do this and this and that. Take my advice, then you get it all back, right? But when he heard these words from the oldest, Jared was confused. So here we go. We're going to the verse. This is the book of. This is the book of 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 31. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 31. For you can all number one by one, so that all may learn and be encouraged. And the Ruach of the prophets are subject to the prophets, right? Because that's why he was looking at it. He's like, man, this mercy must be somebody come deliver me. For Elohim is not the Elohim of confusion, but of peace, right? Going back to verse 19, Adam and Cool. But when he heard these words from the oldest, Jared was confused and went here and there, right? But at the moment, he found none of his children, right? He went here and there, right? This is the book of, I think it's Timothy. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse, Ephesians chapter 4 verse 13. Actually, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 9. In saying he ascended, what does it mean but that he also descended into the lower regions of the earth? Now, he went to Tartarus, he went to the unseen world. He who descended is one who also descended far above the Shamaim, that he might fill all things. And he gave the Shalakim, the Nabi'im, the evangelists, the shepherds, the teachers, to equip the Kodashim in the work of the ministry for the building of the body of Mashiach. That's why he was saying ministry before the body of Adam. Until we attain to the unity of Amunah, of the knowledge of the Son of Elohim, to mature manhood, to the measure and stature of the fullness of Mashiach, so that we may be no longer children tossed to and fro by, that's what Jared in right now. Him and his children, he going all over the place. Tossed to and fro by waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by human cunning, by craftiness and deceitful schemes. Right? Going back to chapter 19, verse 19 of that same book. Second book of Adam and Cool. But when he heard these words from the oldest, Jared was confused and went here and there. But at the moment he found none of the children. Then he answered and said to the old one, why have you hidden yourselves unto this day? He's like, why you ain't been showing yourself? Why you coming now? And the oldest replied, if your father had not told us, we would have not known it. Right? You're going to skip over now. Going to, let's stay there. Let's keep going. And the oldest replied, if your father had not told us, we would not have known it. Then Jared believed his words were true. Right? So now he done took the seed in, and now he believed it. Now he believed the lies. So the oldest said to Jared, wherefore did you turn about so and so? And he said, I am seeking one of my children to tell him about my going with you, and about their coming down to those about whom you have spoken to me. Right. So Jared get ready to go down the mountain. He think the commandment didn't apply to him. Let not one of the children come down from the mountain. You teach them in righteousness, right? Because a leader got to lead by example, right? And when the old one heard Jared's intentions, he said to him, do not worry about that right now. Right? That will happen. You don't need to worry about that. Don't do that. But come with us, and you shall see our country. He said, come with us, please. He said, you got to worry about that right now. And all you got to do is just believe what we're saying right now, and just come down and just leave. And it'll work out for you. He said, if the land in which we live pleases you, we shall all return here and take your family with us. But if our country does not please you, you shall come back to your own home. And the old one urged Jared to go before one of the children came to talk him out of his decision, right? Because the children going to hear about it, and the children going to come over and be like, didn't our father say us not to come down from the mountain, nor go be friends with the children of Cain? So children can help you out too. To keep you on the straight and narrow, because Satan will come to you and you'll be thinking that it's not. You'll be thinking that it's the device of Yahuah, and you'll be going off in your own world, and Yahuah already told you to speak and keep them in righteousness, and the children come and you'll be like, didn't Yahuah say this to us? He's like, Satan don't want you to hear your children talking, because they're gonna remind you of what your promise that you made. That's what happened. He don't want you to hear your household. Your house gonna tell you stuff. You be like, man, you right. And Jared then came out of the cave and went with him. This is his whole goal, Satan's whole goal, because he envy. When somebody envy you, is to get you to transgress. That's all it is. They just want you to transgress, and so they can feel like they somebody. And Jared then came out of the cave and went with them, and among them, and they comforted him until they came to the top of the mountain to the sons of Cain. Verse 22. And then the old one said to one of his companions, we have forgotten something by the mouth of the cave, and that is the chosen garment we had brought to clothe Jared with. He then said to one of them, one of you go back, and we will wait for you here until you come back. And then will we clothe Jared, and he shall be like us, good and handsome, fit to come with us into our country. He's like, man, we're going to put the garment on you, and you're going to be looking like a king yourself. You're going to be looking like us. They got them beards and nice beards and gold garments on. He's like, man, Jared, we're going to put that garment on you, man. When you come up in here, when you come up in the club, you know how they say, when you come up in the place, man, all the women going to see you like us, and you're going to be able to do whatever you want. Man, you know how it is. Put them garments on, them garments that Yahushua told them to destroy. He said, give praise to Yahuah. He said, man, get rid of them garments you bought, right in the book of Joshua. Give praise to Yahuah and tell people what you did. You know them garments you get put on, boy. He said, put that garment on, boy. You're going to be looking just like us, right? Then we will clothe Jared, and he shall be like us, good and handsome and fit to come with us into our country. That's the only way you're going to be able to go in there, in their place, right? Then the one went back. He went back. But when he was a short distance off, the old one called to him and said to him, you stay there until I come up to speak to you. And then he stood still, and the old one went up to him and said to him, one thing we forgot at the cave. It is this, we forgot to put out the lamp that burns inside the cave above the bodies that are in there. Do it and come back to us quickly. That one went, and the old one came back to his fellows and to Jared. It says, and they came down to the mountain, and Jared was with them, right? So the people that were with Satan, he made sure he took care of Jared's stuff and everybody else's stuff, pretending, and Jared gave him access to things that he shouldn't even have access to. And he let them all in there, like a computer program. Just let them just do whatever they want. And you know what happened after that? It says, one thing we forgot at the cave. It is this, we forgot to put out the lamp that burns inside the cave above the bodies that are in there. Do it and come back to us quickly. That one went, and the old came to his fellows and Jared, and they came down from the mountain. Now he done came down from the mountain. And Jared was with them, and Jared was with him. And you know what happened? And they stayed by a fountain of water near the houses of the children of Cain. He said, even right next to the children of Cain, by a fountain of water. And you know what happened after that? And waited for their companion until he brought the garment for Jared. And he waiting for them to get the garments on, right? Because you gotta look good before you go right there by the houses of the children of Cain. Then he who went back to the cave put out the lamp and came to them and brought an apparition with him and showed it to them. And when Jared saw it, he wondered at the beauty and the kind thereof. And he rejoiced in his heart, believing it was all true. And apparition is like a hologram, like some kind of light show thing. And you know what he said? But while they were staying there, 3 of them went into the houses of the sons of Cain and said to them, bring us today some food by the fountain of water, for us and our companions to eat. They were sitting by the fountain of water, and he said, man, bring us some food by the fountain of water. They went to the children of Cain and said, bring us some food by the fountain of water. And you know what happened after that? And it says, but when the sons of Cain saw them, they were in awe of them and thought, these men are beautiful to look at. We have never seen such before. So they rose and came to them in the fountain of water, came to them to the fountain of water to see their companions. Right, because they needed somebody from the top of the mountain to come down with them to make them look like they somebody even greater than what they were. And then by having Jared with them, it gave them some credibility. And when they came to the children of Cain, like the Goyim, were in awe of them because they had him with them. And now they're getting ready to put on the garment to make them look just like them. And you know what's going to happen after that? And they bought a fountain of living water. Fountain of water. And get what it says. So they rose and came with them to the fountain of water to see their companions. They thought them to be them so very handsome that they called aloud about their places for the others to gather together and come and look at these beautiful beings. Right? Look at how beautiful they are. Then they gathered around them, both men and women. And everybody started getting around them. And you know what happened after that? Then the old one said to them, we are strangers in your land. Bring us some good food and drink, and bring yourselves and your women, so we can refresh ourselves with you. He's like, man, bring the women, bring the food, so we handsome and good to look at, and we got Jared with us too. You know, we need to put Jared on the garment too. Jared gonna see, man, we get everything we want down here because of the way we look. And you know what happened? And when those men heard these words of the old one, every one of Cain's sons brought his wife. He did what? He brought his wife. And another brought his daughter. And so many women came to them, everyone calling out to Jared, either for himself or for his wife. They seen Jared, they were like, "Ooh, look at Jared. Jared ain't got nothing on the men that he with." Jared like, man, I'm getting all the women, right? And you know what happened with Jared? Jared done came down from the mountain, and he think he's somebody. He said, man, I'm in VIP right now. And you know what happens after that? But when Jared saw what they did, he said, man, when I saw what they did, why do you think Yahushua said, all they say unto you do, but don't do after their works, right? Ain't what they did? Ain't what Jared just did? He just did everything they said. But he said, when I saw what they did, you know what happened after that? His very soul wretched in itself from them, and he will not taste their food or their drink. Now you see why Daniel wouldn't eat their food. He's like, why he not eating with us? He not. Why do you think Shaul said, don't eat with him? He said, don't you even eat with him. He said, you're guilty of sexual morality, extortion, robbery. He said, man, I had to go out of the way. He said, you doing that stuff? And he was saying, why he said that? It's a reason why. He said, and he spread his hands, and he said, yeah. But when Jared saw what they did, his very soul wretched itself from them, and he will not taste their food or their drink. That's why he said, don't eat that. The day you eat of it, you shall surely die. That's the same thing when you go into other people's places and you start eating their food. We talked about this already, but he said you eat their food, and he's like, I ain't eating with y'all. You see what they're doing? They gossiping and slander and hatred and jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, sexual morality, foreign. Why would you eat their food? And they say, Yahuah be the Elohim Most High, right? He said, why would you eat their food? Why would you eat their food? You know what he says? The old one saw him as he wrenched himself from them. He's like, I'm getting away from y'all. And said to him, do not be sad. He like, man, this is terrible. I am the great elder, as you see me do. Do yourself in like manner. He said, do what I do. Keep trying to get you to do what they do. That's all it means. Everybody always trying to get you to do what they do. Then he spread his hands and took one of the women, and the 5 of his companions did the same in front of Jared. They all took the women and put it, and you know what he said? That he should do as they did. He's like, man, do what we do. Put my hand out, take other men's wives and daughters. You know what they did? But when Jared saw them doing their wickedness, he wept and said in his mind, my father never acted this way. He's saying, man, we ain't never did this before. My fathers ain't never did nothing like this before, but y'all taking other men's wives by the hand, like taking their daughters and doing all type of stuff. He's like, man, they ain't never did nothing like this before. I ain't never seen some of the stuff I done seen people do. I'm like, man, I ain't never seen y'all people do this before ever. Right? It says he spread his hands and prayed with a fervent heart. You know, we talk about that fervent prayer, that takunan, right? That earnest prayer. He like, man, I gotta pray. But he's trying to float. Jared trying to float out of that situation. He like, man, look at here. I'm trying to get up out of here. And you know what he said? And with much weeping and begged Elohim to deliver him from their hands. He's like, please, what have I done? Please. And you know what happened? No sooner did Jared begin to pray that the old one fled with his companions. Man, they started running. You know all they wanted to do? Because that's what happens. You know who that remind you of? They get you to transgress. They get you to do something, and you know what happened? They do. They flee after that. You say, what does that remind you of? Right. This is the book of Shabath. This is the book of Shabath. Book of Shabath, all of Shabath, or 2 Samuel. Chapter 11. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 14. And in the morning, Dawid wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. In the letter he wrote, set Uriah in the forefront of the hardest fighting, and then draw back from him. That's what Satan do. When Satan trying to set you up, that's what Satan do. They'll keep you, they egg you on and get you to do something. And then you know what they do? Yeah, go tell them, go do this, go do that. And you know what they do? They draw back. And then they laugh at you. In the letter he wrote, set Uriah at the hardest front of the hardest fighting, and then draw back from him. You know why? Because they can get him killed. That he may be struck down and die. So, yeah, that's so. But that's what they do. That's all they want. That's why you think Satan left. Satan be fleeing away. As soon as you get exactly what he needs you, he be like, yeah, I'm gone. Even after you pray, he like, Satan, Yahuah reveal everybody to you. They gone. They gone. You're like, where they at? They gone, man. He show you. That's what they do. They draw back. And you know it says, verse 44, going back to the same book. No sooner did Jared begin to pray that the old one fled with his companions, for they could not abide in a place of prayer. Right? That's the reason. He started to pray. And I said he told us to go in our closet, go in the room, shut the door. Then why he say that? Because he can't abide in there. Because as soon as you start praying, then Satan like, man, he going to see who I am. You know what happens after that? He then spread his hands and prayed with a fervent heart and with much weeping and begged Elohim to deliver him from their hands. Why do you think he told Uriah to go in the hardest fighting? Uriah started to pray. He was fighting in the hardest fight. Right? He was in the middle of a hard situation. And he said, when it gets real hard, just draw back. Because that's what happens. Uriah starts praying, and all the men draw back, and he ended up dying. But not even knowing his death was for a reason. Jared coming down from this mountain is for a reason. And with weeping and begged Elohim to deliver him from their hands. No sooner did Jared begin to pray than the old one fled with his companions, for they could not abide in the place of prayer. Then Jared turned around, but could not see them, but found himself standing in the midst of the children of Cain. That's what happened. They were hoping you die. You end up dying right there. And he said, you come down from the mountain? He said that you become friends with the children of Cain, and you perish with them. You know what his father said? He then wept and said, "O Elohim, do not destroy me with this race." He already knew. He's like, man, look at here, I'm finna die. Please, that's why you're right, and I'm done. But Jared had got something that most people will want in their life. He said, and then Jared turned around and could not see them, but found himself standing in the midst of the children of Cain. And he then wept and said, "O Elohim, do not destroy me with this race, concerning which my fathers have warned me." Because, you know, they got the blood out their hand. They making sure they get in. I'm into the rest. Right? I told him, and he did opposite. So therefore, it ain't on my hand. But he had to recount what his father said. For now, my master Elohim, I was thinking that those who appeared to me were my forefathers. But I have found them out to be devils, right? They look like their forefathers. Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, right? They look like the 12 tribes, Matai, Shalosh, Matai. They look like the people that you say. I thought they were like my forefathers. But they turned out to be Satans, who lured me by way of this beautiful apparition until I believed them. That's all they wanted to do. But now I ask you, Elohim, to deliver me from this race among whom I am now staying, as you did deliver me from those Satans. Send your malak to pull me out of the middle of them. I do not have power within myself to escape from them. It's too many. They all surrounding him. What do you think the children can't get rid of them? Man, they finna kill you. When Jared had ended his prayer, Elohim sent his malak into the midst of them, and he took Jared and set him up on the mountain. He's like, that's how fast you can get back. He said, man, he set me back on the mountain. You know what he said? And showed him the way. He showed him the way. Right, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 35 and 8. Yeshayahu chapter 35 and 8. It says, and a highway shall be there, and it shall be called the way of Kudash. The unclean shall not pass over it. It belongs to those who walk on the way. Even if they are fools, they shall not go astray. Jared. No lion shall be there. Was Jared on the mountain? Jared was like a lion over the people. Now he's like, man, what happened to the lion? The lion that went down from the mountain, and now the lion among the people. And you know what he says? Nor shall a ravenous beast come onto it. They shall not be found there. He said, man, the children of Cain never come up on the mountain. But the redeemed shall walk there, because it's in a place of prayer. Satan and his malakim and the envious can't stand in the way of when you start palal and prayer and tahila. He can't be around. And the ransom Yahuah shall return and come to Saon with singing. They're gonna come back to the mountain. Why? They're gonna pray to Yahuah and he'll deliver. Send them a lot to deliver me and bring me back. And the ransom Yahuah shall return and come to Saon with singing. Everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Right? Going back to, verse 48. And when Jared had ended his prayer, Elohim sent his malak into the middle of them, and he took Jared and set him up on the mountain, and he showed him the way, and he gave him wise advice. And then departed from him. The malak gave him wise advice. Don't come up from the mountain. And you don't know what advice that was. But the advice that Satan did was to get him to come down from the mountain. So what do you think the Malak reiterated to him when he came back on top of the mountain? And what wise advice did he give rather than Satan's envious advice? Stay on the mountain and continue to do what your father said. Right, going to verse 1, next chapter. And he said, the children of Jared were in the habit of visiting him hour after hour to receive his barak and to ask him advice for everything they did. And when he had work to do, they did it for him. But this time, when they went into the cave, they did not find Jared. But they found a lamp put out, and the bodies of his fathers thrown about. And the voices came from them by the power of Elohim that said, Satan is an apparition, has deceived our son, wishing to destroy him, as he destroyed our son, Cain. Because Satan destroyed people. He destroyed Cain and got him to murder Abel. How about? That's all Satan wanted to do. He wanted to destroy you. It's like Noah prayed against the demons. He prayed against them in the book of Jubilees. Do not, Yahuah Elohim, let not the demons destroy my grandsons. Right, and you go into the book of 3, verse 3. They said also, Yahuah Elohim was showing on earth, deliver our son from the hand of Satan, who produced such a great and false specter before him. They also spoke to other matters by the power of Elohim. But when the children of Jared heard these voices, they feared and stood weeping for their father, because they did not know that what had happened to him. They didn't know. And they wept for him that day until the setting of the sun. And then Jared come with a mournful expression, miserable in mind. You say, why was he miserable, right? You go into the book of, they say, why was he miserable, right? Right, go into the book of 1 Corinthians. I say, yeah. First Corinthians chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Look at 15 and 12. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 12. Now if Mashiach is proclaimed as raised from the dead, how can some of you say that there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Mashiach has been raised. And if Mashiach has not been raised, then our preaching is in vain, and your Amunah is in vain. We are found to be ministers representing Elohim, because we testify about Elohim that he raised Mashiach, whom he did not raise, if it is true that the dead are not raised. For if the dead are not raised, not even Mashiach has been raised. And if Mashiach has not been raised, your Amunah is futile, and you are all in your sins. Then those also who have fallen asleep in Mashiach have perished. Why do you think he said? All them people that came before Jared, they all died, entered into that rest. But if Mashiach be not raised, they just died. If he says, if in Mashiach we have hope in this life only, we are all people most pitied. But in fact, Mashiach has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who fallen asleep. For as by man came death, by man also came the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all died. You know, all the people of Adam died. They lived 900, 800, 910, 800, right? They were living a long time, but everybody had to die. So in Mashiach, all are made alive. But each his own order. Mashiach, the first fruit. Then after his coming, those who will belong to Mashiach. Those who stay on the mountain. Then comes the end, when he delivers the kingdom of Elohim to his Father, and destroying every rule and authority and power, the children of Cain. the goyim. For he must reign until he has put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy destroyed is death. Right, because that's all a part of it. Because if we do it, because it's a part of it, right? Because it's a part of it, right? It's all a part of it. Because if we don't understand this, then we'll understand it, and then we'll say, why is this so important? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 6. Now these took place as an examples for us. You know what Jared is? People say, why is this? This is an example. Yeah. That we might not desire evil as they did. Do not be idolaters as some of them were. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. You know what Satan was doing with Jared? Oh, you thought that was something new, just the wilderness. No, that ain't nothing. We must not indulge in sexual morality as some of them did. You see what they did? He opened his hand up and he said, my fathers never did this. As some of them did, and 20,000 fell in a single day. We must not put Mashiach to the test, as some of them did, and were destroyed by serpents. And then what? Jared was like, please don't destroy me with these people. Please, right? Nor grumble, as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now these things happen as an example, but they were written down for our instructions, on whom the end of the age has come. Therefore, let anyone thinks that he stands. Jared, Jared thought he was standing. When people came there, them beautiful men with them beards, came down and put that garment on, but he saw what they did. He like, man, I thought I was standing, boy. He thought he was standing. Children weeping, they like. He said, man, you think you standing? You done went down from the mountain. You done ate with these people. You done been with these people like Qahalath, right? He said, man, he said, put Mashiach to the test, as some of them did, and were destroyed by serpents. No grumble. Now these things happened to them as an example, but they were written down for our instructions, on whom the end of the age has come. Therefore, let anyone who thinks that he stands take heed, lest he fall down from the mountain. Lest you fall down from the mountain. You open your hand up and you start doing what they do with them beards, right? You open your hand up and they look beautiful, and the next thing you know, you find yourself taking other men's wives, fornicating, men adultery, extortion, robbery, swindling. Right? You find yourself doing the very same things they do, and you end up falling. No temptation has overtaken you and is not common to man. Elohim is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, here we go. So that was remember, it was beyond Jared's ability. He's like, man, these people are too many for us. He's like, they surrounded me. Yahuah, send your malak to help me. But guess what he did? Elohim is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape. Dun, dun, dun. Yahuah sent a malaki to come get me. Swooped him right out of there and got him out of there. That you may be able to endure it. That's the only reason. Therefore, my beloved, flee idolatry. I speak as a sensible people. Judge for yourselves what I say. That's all you gotta do. He said, all you gotta do is judge what he says. You judge within your own self. Is what he's saying true? Or what he's saying not true? Because that's the whole point. Right? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 29. 1 Corinthians 15 to 29. Otherwise, 1 Corinthians 15, 29. Otherwise, what do people mean by being immersed on behalf of the dead? If the dead are not raised at all, why are people immersed on their behalf? Why are we in danger every hour? I protest, brothers and sisters, by my pride in you, which I have in Mashiach, the master Adon. I die every day. Now you see why you gotta do it every day. That's why the people in W. Hayamim 23 and W. Hayamim 9, they had to offer sacrifices every single hour. The priest that was in Jerusalem had to offer sacrifices morning and evening and prepare the bread, do all these things. They had to die every day to do that. That's what the people are going to be in New Jerusalem. You know, the gates don't ever close and there's no need of the sun, moon, and the stars. I die every day. What do I gain if, humanly speaking, I fought with beasts at Ephesus? And if the dead are not raised, let us eat and drink. And what Satan was trying to get them to do? Bring us some food and some drink. As a matter of fact, I'll get them women too. If the dead are not raised, let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. You get what he did? Do not be deceived, Jared. Bad company ruins good morals. So now you see why. Jared was like, my fathers didn't do this. And he started weeping immediately. It wasn't like, yeah, let me touch one, let me get one. Touch me, tease me. Right? He didn't do that. He ain't do what them other people, he ain't grab their hand, he opened his hand out. He started crying and weeping and praying as soon as he saw it. But you know, some people just indulge and like cough. Cough started eating and drinking with the Gentile Goyim. He started to mingle in with him, and then Barnabas and everybody else started doing it. And you know what happened after that? Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals, right? He said, some of you, y'all, he said, how you hanging out with the most evilest people on earth, right? That makes no sense at all, right? Wake up. You see what he said? After he said all that, why would you do that? Wake up. You sleep from your drunken stupor, your stupor. As is right, and do not go on sinning. He's like, wake the heck up. You sleep. For some have not the knowledge of Elohim. I say this to your shame, right? Going back to the second book of Adam and Yahuah, chapter 17, chapter 3, verse 5. It says, verse 5. And when they wept from him that day until the setting of the sun, then Jared come with a mournful expression, miserable in mind and body, and sorrowful, as having been separated from the bodies of his fathers, right? The body of Mashiach, right? But as he came near to the cave, his children saw him and ran to the cave and hugged his neck, crying and said to him, Father, where have you been? And why have you left us? Because we know not. We know you not. We know you did not want to. And they spoke again, saying, Father, when you disappeared, the lamp over the bodies of our fathers went out. Right? He said, man, do you know what's going to happen to you? What happens to the body of Mashiach when you go do this? Like when Qahalath did it, now you see why Shaul was going at it. You know what's going to happen to the body of Mashiach? People say, what's going to happen? Man, people have no idea. Because it's important that people understand this. Right? Because when the father do it, when the fathers do it, or the leader do it, the ruler does it, the person who's over it is supposed to be saying things do it. You know what happens? This is what happens, right? This is Proverbs chapter 13, verse 8. This is what happened to everybody. This is what's going to happen to your children too. Proverbs 13:8. The ransom of a man's life is his wealth, but a poor man hears no threat. The light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. That's what's going to happen. That's what happens. Because this is all a part of it. It's all a part of it, right? Right. This is Proverbs chapter 24. Mostly Proverbs chapter 24, verse 17. It says, do not rejoice when your enemy falls. That's what happened to Jared. And you know what happened? He says, if any man think he stands, take heed lest you fall. Because he said, man, the enemy is going to be of his own household. And you know, matter of fact, the enemy may be the ruler. It may be the father himself. That's why he said, he that loves mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. He said, it may even be your mother. It may be your, he said, your leader, your ruler. Do not rejoice at the fall of your enemy falls. Because when they start doing things, they're going to fall. And let not your heart be glad when he stumbles. You know what the children doing right now? They were weeping. What they were doing? They were weeping and crying and like, where you at? lest the Yahuah see it and be displeased. And turn away and turn his way, his anger from him. Fret not yourself because of evildoers, and be not envious of the wicked. For evil men have no future. And women. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. Going back to Adam and Yahuah, we almost finished. 18 and 7. Yeah, second book of Adam and Yahuah. It says, but as he came near the cave, his children saw him and ran and hugged his neck, crying and saying to him, Father, where have you been? And why have you left us? Because we know you did not want to. And they spoke again, saying, Father, when you disappeared, the lamp over the bodies of our fathers went out, and the bodies were thrown about, and the voices came from them. Right? And he said, man, things started happening. Demons and apparitions, other people started talking, right? Satan and everybody, right? And when Jared heard this, he was sorry and went into the cave, and there he found the bodies thrown about and the lamps put out. Right? He's like, the body of Mashiach has been put out. That's what it means. The body of Mashiach has been put out. Right? The lamp been put out. The light of the world. Right? And the Father, it says, and the Father themselves praying for his deliverance from the hand of Satan. Right? Everything's put out. Because Satan can't abide in the place of prayer. That's all you're trying to do. You know why Satan don't want you to pray? Because so he can enslave you in the presence of Yahuah. That's the only reason he wants you to do it. That's why he don't want you to close the door. That's why Yahuah say close the door. Don't tell nobody. Because if Satan find out, he gonna try to stop you. That's why he said don't tell nobody. We say, man, they can close the door. They want to be seen by others, right? Look good with he got the beards on with the clothes and the garment. They're looking great. He said close the door. You know what happens? It says, themselves praying for the deliverance from the hand of Satan. Then Jared fell upon the bodies and embraced them and said, my father, through your intercessions, Elohim delivered me from the hand of Satan. I beg you to ask Elohim to keep me and hide me from him to the day of my death. Then all the voices ceased except the voices of his father Adam. When he spoke so to Jared, that the power of Elohim, just as one who speaks to his friend, saying, Jared, my son, offer gifts to Elohim for having delivered you from the hand of Satan. And then what? And amazingly, this is the 5th month. The 5th of the Aydah, behold, light revealed, light rays. And it also means the ha also with the 2 hands lifted up. And the pictograph, it means gift. Gifts to Elohim for having delivered you from the hand of Satan. And when you bring those offerings, offer them on the same altar on which I gave offerings. And even then you must beware of Satan, for he deluded me many times. He deluded me many a time with his specters, wishing to destroy me, but Elohim delivered me out of his hand. Right? So that's all he wants. So Satan coming. So people think, oh, you start doing these things, Satan coming. Right? He doing warm-ups. He do the same stuff you do. Right? He be in the weight room. He be in the gym. He be getting ready. Right? He be getting ready for the battle. And get what he said. Command your people that they be not on their that they be on their guard against him, and never cease to offer up gifts to Elohim. Then the voice of Adam also became silent, and Jared and his children wondered at this. Then they laid the bodies as they were at first, and Jared and his people stood praying the entire night until the daybreak. Isn't that what we do during the Passat? We have special instruction. It's a night of much watching. Remember we say every night is a night of much watching? When the sun go down, Satan is outside, people. People say, oh, devil ain't outside. I mean, Satan outside. I don't give a, man. On your rooftop, right? Down the street, he'd be out there just looking at you. For no reason. You be driving your car, you see the person just looking at you like this, just seeing you walk by, that's Satan. That's Satan looking at you, man. You playing. This ain't no game. Like, they ain't had no cars back then. They ain't had no street lights. They weren't outside during the nighttime. People were in the house praying. Back in the day. When the sun went down, they put their lanterns on, they got their shotgun, they had their weapons in their hand looking outside the door, out the window, like, What's that noise? Right? This is a whole different world now. It says, command your people that they be on guard against him and never cease to offer gifts, Elohim. Then the voice of Adam also became silent, and Jared and his children wondered at this. Then they laid their bodies as they were at first, and Jared and his children stood praying the entire night until the daybreak. So not everyone's watching. Ayin each lapid, the 7 near, the 7 omens, the 7 eyes, right? Why? Because you gotta have your lamps burning. This is always a part of it. Then Jared made an offering and offered it up on the altar as Adam had commanded him, and as he went upon the altar, because this is a morning sacrifice. Amazingly, this is a morning sacrifice. What they do in New Jerusalem every single day. And he prayed to Elohim for mercy and for forgiveness of his sin. Now you see why Yahuah said, when you go to pray, he said, Father, when they came to pray before him in his presence, and one was a tax collector, and he was like, man, I fast 3 times a week. I give tithes of all I got. Then the other person like, man, Yahuah, I can't even lift my head up. Have mercy on me, a sinner. And he said he went till I was more justified than you. And he was a leader too. He prayed to Elohim for mercy and forgiveness. Why? Because his mercy renews every single morning. That's the book of Lamentations, Ika says. If you don't believe it, then you ain't going to believe you got mercy. You know what some people say? They want you to die. I'm sure Satan wants you to die. I promise you. Your enemies want you. You know what he says? For his sin concerning the lamp going out. He always said the lamp of the wicked been put out. So in order to get your lamp back lit, what you gotta do? You gotta pray. You gotta ask for forgiveness for your sin. You gotta ask for mercy, because you don't know if he's gonna give you mercy or not. Verse 14, then Elohim appeared to Jared on the altar and baraked him and his children. That's it. And accepted his offering and commanded. Why did he accept it? Because he prayed to Elohim for mercy and forgiveness for his sin. Then Elohim appeared to Jared on the altar and baraked him and his children, and accepted their offering and commanded Jared to take of the sacred fire from the altar in the light of the lamp, and shed light on the body of Adam, right? On the body of Mashiach, right? These are all a part of it, right? So this is the book of second. This is Bereshit chapter 3. Actually, Bereshit chapter 4 and verse 1. We almost finished. Bereshit chapter 4, verse 1. Now Adam knew Yahuah, his wife, Isha, and she conceived and bore Cain, the children of Cain, saying, I have gotten a man by the help of Yahuah, because Yahuah gave a conception. And again she bore his brother Ahabal. Now Ahabal was a keeper of sheep, and Cain was a worker of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought the Yahuah an offering of the first fruit of the ground. Ahabal brought the firstborn of the flock of their fat portion, and Yahuah had regard to Ahabal and his offering. But for Cain, his offering, he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. He was sad. You know what Satan said to Jared? Why are you sad, man? Don't be sad. Man, do what I do. Anything I do, you do what I do. Put your hand up, open your hand up, and grab one of these women, right? These married women, right? Or whatever it may be, and do what I do. He said, my father didn't do what you did. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. And the Yahuah said to Cain, why are you angry? And why is your face falling? Why are you sad? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. It desires for you, and you must rule over it. He said it's desired, because Satan want to rule over you. He envious too. He watching us right now. He listening right now. People say, oh yeah, he ain't listening. I say, when anytime you speaking to the bar, Satan listening. He looking at you. He looking at everybody. You walk down the street, he looking at you. You go to the supermarket, he's still looking at you. When you go to the other country, he looking at you. He looking at everything you doing. He like, how can I mess this up? That's all he do. He ain't got nothing else to do. So please don't be thinking he ain't thinking about you. Satan ain't thinking about me, he is. He thinking about what he gonna do to you tomorrow. How he gonna try to swift you in, right? Jump in somebody else's body, right? Like Fallen with Denzel Washington. They be doing all them astral projecting and jumping people's body and all that crazy stuff they be doing in jail. Doing the magic books. Everybody in he said in these prisons ain't studying no Torah. So many people studying other things trying to escape. And that's a whole nother subject. And if you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not well, sin is crouching at the door. It is desirous for you, and you must rule over it. And Cain spoke to Habal, his brother. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Habal and killed him. Why? Because Yahuah had more regard for his offering. And he rose up against Habal and killed him. Then Yahuah said to Cain, where is your brother Habal? You know what happened? You see what happened? After Satan killed you, then he draw back. He act like he don't know nothing. And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? You're supposed to be keeping sheep, right? You're supposed to keep protecting your brother. And Yahuah said, what have you done? And the voice of your brother's blood is crying from the ground. He's like, what happened to your brother? What happened to your brother, right? And then people say, what's going on? Because Yahuah be watching us. And people say, he be watching us, right? Right, so this is the book of, this is the last thing, last couple things we're doing, right? This is the book of, this is 2 Kings, Bith Malachim, 2 Kings, verse 2, or 1 Kings chapter 2, sorry. Aleph Malachim 2:28. And when the news came to Joab, for Joab had supported Adoniah, although he had not supported Absalom, Joab fled to the tent of Yahuah and caught hold of the horns of the altar. And when it was told King Shalluma, Joab has fled to the tent of Yahuah, and behold, he is beside the altar, Shalluma sent Benaiah, the son of Yedidiah, saying, go strike him down. He's like, man, you'll kill him. So Benaiah came to the tent of Yahuah and said to him, the king commands, come out. But behold, now, no, I will die here. Then Benaiah brought the king's word again, saying, thus says Joab. And thus he answered. The king replied to him, do as he has said, strike him down and bury him, and thus take away from me in my father's house the guilt for the blood of Joab shed without a cause. He's like, what did Joab do? You know what Cain did to Habal? What did he do? Yahuah will bring back his bloody deeds on his own head. What did he do? What Cain did? You know, the children of Cain, his behavior is in the DNA, boy. It's in DNA, man. People have no idea. When Satan gets in your heart and your mind, bring back his bloody deeds on his own head. Because without knowledge of my father Dawid, he attacked. He did what? And then we just read it in Shalom. He said, deliver us from those who attack us without a cause. He says, without knowledge of my father Dawid, he attacked and killed with the sword 2 men. Which means you know how he's talking about false accusations? He said, man, it's like you pulled a war club out and a sword. You slandered, man, that's like you pulled out a sword. He said, you gossip and slander. He said, that's like sword. You pulled out a sword, you mean? Rumors, I say, spread them evil rumors. But he literally killed him. Not even knowing what you just did. Because without the knowledge of my father Dawid, he attacked and killed with the sword 2 men more righteous and better than himself. Uh-oh. Why are you wroth, Cain? Why are you envious, Satan? Because you know Satan, when he envious, he try to get you to come down from the mountain, try to get you to be like him, and he flee. As soon as you start praying, he gone. Yeah, he in that little, he starting to pray to his Elohim Yahuah. Let me get up out of here. As long as you ain't praying, you his prey. As long as you're not praying, you are his prey. That man wants you. But he said, man, you more righteous and better. He said he attacked and killed with sword 2 men or women. Well, it doesn't matter. 2 men more righteous than him and better than himself. Abner, the son of Ner, the commander of the army of Yasharal, and Amasiah, the son of Yethar, the commander of the army of Yehudah. So shall their blood come back on the head of Joab and on the head of the descendants forever. Some people like Joab. Some men today are like him. He said, your bloody deeds going to come back on your own head and your descendants. And people say, you want to play with Yahuah, right? Right? And people think this is a game. It's not. Right? People think this is a game. It's not. Right, so this is the last couple of things we've done. This is Yeshayahu chapter 59. Yeshayahu chapter 59. Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 1. Behold, Yahuwah's hand is not shortened that it cannot save. Right? He's like, man, I'm trying to save people. That's Shaul said, I'm trying to get in. Or his ear dull that he cannot hear. His ear is uncircumcised. His ear is circumcised, I'm sorry. It's not uncircumcised ear. But your iniquities have made a separation between you and your Elohim. And your sins have hidden his face from you so that he does not hear. And you see why he tells you not to. Why do you think Jared was praying for his sins that he committed? And Yahuah heard him, and he put his lamp back on. But if you never confess your sins, you never say what you've done. He said, man, you know your student people better than you. He said, he ain't better than me. If he wasn't better than you, then why you slander him? Why you gossip? Why you lie? Why you create this whole narrative? Why you planned it, scheme and plot? If he wasn't better than you, then why you did it? It's not that hard. People say, why do people do that? Why would you plot and scheme and slander a woman? Right? Another woman would do that to you. Because she's better than you. And she don't do it to you. Because she's better than you. Why would you do that? Same thing. It says, between you and your Elohim, and your sins have hidden his face from you, so that he does not hear. For your hands are defiled with blood. Oh, you like killing people better than you. You like destroying people better than you. That's the only reason. He said your hands are with blood. You got blood on your hand. You know, you open your right hand up. Right hand, if who's gonna look at your hand and be like, man, you got blood on your hand. Because you ain't want nobody. Because you ain't want nobody. And your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies. Why? Because you don't want to tell people the truth. Your tongue mutters wickedness. No one enters suit justly, and no one goes to Turah honestly. You know what else they do? They rely on empty pleas. They speak lies. And you know what else they do? They conceive mischief and give birth to iniquity. That's what happens. That's what happens, right? That's what happens, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, 23. One's pride will bring him low. You know what happened to Jared? It brought him low. It brought him low, man. He got so low, he came down from the mountain, too. That's how low he came. He went from a higher self to a lower self, and then other people tried to tempt him to do other things. Right? And you know what happens after that? After you transgress? It creates something in your heart, right? It creates something in your heart, right? Right. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1. Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 8. Hear, my son, for your father's instructions. You know what Jared got? And forsake not your mother's teaching. Now you see why your mother and your father is important. Now he said, if you love mother and father more than me, you're not worthy of me, because Yahuah is your mother and your father. And you know what he says? For they are a graceful garland on your head and pendants for your neck, your guggerot. You know what else he said? My throat. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us and let us lie in wait for blood. Let's go destroy some people more better than us. Let's go lie in wait some blood. Let's not warn nobody either. We don't need to say that. We don't need to warn nobody. Let us ambush the innocent without a reason. Yeah, let's attack people without a cause. Yahuah deliver us, because we know our name. We just read in the Testament of Shalom, he said his name is upon him. He said he's our protection. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all precious goods. We shall fill our houses with plunder. Man, we're going to take everything they got. I know you looking. But you know what he says? Throw in your lot among us, and we will all have one purse. Isn't that what he said? You know what Jared said? Let us come with us. My son, do not walk in their way. Why do you think he brought Jared back from the mountain with the Malach, and he said, don't do what? He showed him back the way. He gave him back the way. Hold back your foot from their paths, for their feet run to evil. They make haste to shed blood, for in vain they spread, for in vain is a net spread. And then it says, in the sight of any bird. But these men lie in wait for their own blood. They set ambush for their own lives. Such are the ways of everyone who is greedy of unjust gain. Takes away the life of their possessor, right? Proverbs 29:23. One's pride will bring him low, but he who is lowly in Ruach will obtain honor, right? That's Shafal. He who is depressed, he is humble, humiliated. You know what happened to Jared? He was humiliated. Humble, right? But he got to prove his love, right? And he's proving his love, and he's returned back to where he was before. This is Proverbs chapter 37, 7 through 11. Be still before Yahuah and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourselves, don't get angry over the one who prospers in the way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Man, evil and raw. They prosper in the way. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Corral not yourself. It tends only to evil. Because that's what anger is going to do when you see these things. For the evildoers shall be cut off, but those who wait for Yahuah shall inherit the Aydahs. He said, you're going to inherit the whole earth. In just a little while, the wicked will be no more. Though you look carefully at his place, he will not be there. But the meek, the Anu, shall inherit the Aydahs and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. Those who repent. Those who repent, right? That word for be still, because we talk about is daman. Be still, be silent, be still, wait, be quiet. Be silent. Why? The meek, Anu, Ayin Nun, Wu, see the life and be joined to it. Poor, humble, afflicted, meek, needy. Right? Anu shall, they say, delight themselves in the abundance of soundness and shalom, in tranquility, in peace and quiet. Friendly, welfare. That's what happens when you finally get back to peace, shalom. Because there ain't no peace to no wicked person, right? This is Proverbs 16, 19 through 20. It is better to be of a shafal or a humble ruach with the Anu, the meek, than to divide the spoil with the proud. It's better. He said, or divide the women with the proud, right? It's the same thing. It's better. Whoever gives thought to the word will discover good. Anytime you give thought to the bar, you discover good. The word is good. Because the word is Yahuah. Because the bar equals Yahuah. Yahuah equals the 8, the bar equals the 8, Torah equals the 8. The word is good. Yahushua said, why callest thou me good? There's only one good but one. And Barak is the one who trusts in Yahuah. Right, this is the Nazarene Acts of the Shalakim. Nazarene Acts of the Shalakim, chapter XXI, this page 128. Heathen oracles. Whence it is evident that they, since they are demonic spirits, know some things both more quickly and more perfectly than men. For they are not retarded in their learning by the heaviness of a body. And therefore they, as being spirits, know without delay and without difficulty what medical doctors attain after a long time and by much labor. It is not wonderful, therefore, if they know somewhat more than men do. But this is to be observed, that they know they do not employ for the salvation of inner beings, but for the deception of them, that by means of it they may indoctrinate them in the worship of a false religion. But Yahuah, that the error of the great deception might not be concealed, and that he himself might not seem to be a cause of error in permitting them so great license to deceive men by divinations and cures and dreams, has of his mercy furnished men with a remedy, and has made the distinction of falsehood and truth patent to those who desire to know. This therefore is that distinction. What is spoken by the trust of Allah, whether of Nabi'im or by diverse visions, is always true. But what is foretold by demons is not always true. It is therefore an evident sign that those things are not spoken by the true Allah, in which at any time there is falsehood, for in truth there is never falsehood. But in the case of those who speak falsehood, there may be occasionally be a slight mixture of truth, to give as if they were seasoning, as if it were seasoning to the falsehoods. And people say, why do you think Yahuah despises? He said, I take the wisdom of this world. They say it's foolishness with Yahuah. Because even the very people who have that information, they doing all the behaviors that Yahuah hates. Yahuah like, that ain't saving nobody. It ain't gonna save nobody inward, man. Deliver this person over to Satan, that his Ruach man may be delivered on the great day of judgment. He said that's how he saves somebody, by warning them and telling them that the blood don't be on your hands. Because a lot of people perform surgeries and there be blood all over themselves. But they don't be healing nobody in the inward, man. They don't be healing nobody in the inward Ruach, man. They only be healing your temporary body that you stay alive. And hopefully you stay alive long enough to deliver your Ruach, man, from the great day of judgment. Because that's the truth. Right? That's the real truth. Right? This is Sirach chapter 3, 17 through 23. My son and daughter, go on thy business in meekness. So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. And amen. That's the only way you're going to be beloved. Because if Jared wasn't meek, he wouldn't have asked for forgiveness for his sins. He just kept on going. You know, he ain't going to shut up somewhere, right? That's what you're going to have to do. Verse 18, the greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuah, right? That's what happens. Those men came in there, beautiful, looking great, garments down to the ground, phylacteries, right? Fringes, everything. Beards. And he said, man, y'all great. But Yahuah ain't got no regard. When somebody start praying, then you find out who you is. He be like, man, he gone. What happened to him? Man, they gone. They don't like that prayer. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuah. Many are in high places and renowned, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. It ain't new. For the power of Yahuah is great, and honor with the lowly. Stay humble, right? Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. You know what? Jared, like, man, this is above what I can do, man. The children of Cain surrounded me. Send them a lot and deliver me from this place. And he got delivered from it. But I'm sure that Malak told him, don't come down from this mountain. The next time you do it, I'm going to leave you right there. Verse 22, but what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. And then what Jared, they're supposed to think about that thing. Think about it. Don't go from a higher thought to lower thought. He said, think about that. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men and women understand. Both male and female, lion and lioness. That's what people don't understand. That men understand. Because a lot of people don't know it. He said, who shall rouse him up? He said, like a lion, he crouched down like a lioness. Why do you think Yahushua was talking and people were listening to him? He was warning everybody. Why? Because he's trying to get you to understand something, right? This is the book of. This is the book of. He's trying to get people to understand. He's trying to get people to understand. This is the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 30. Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 30. Yeshayahu chapter 30 and verse 1. Ah, stubborn children, declares Yahuah, who carry out a plan but not of mine. You know what Jared did? That ain't got nothing to do with me. And who make an alliance but not of my Ruach, that they may add sin to sin. Now you see why Jared say, please forgive me for my sin, because he told the men to go back and get this and do this, turn the lamp off and do all this stuff. Gave him access to things. Made an alliance, but it wasn't about the Ruach. It was about the outward man. Who set out to go down to Mizraim without asking my direction? You know what Jared did? He went down the mountain to take refuge in the protection of. Who's our protection? In the Testament of Shalom, he said, because Yahuwah's name is among it, he's our protection. Now you done left the protection. To take refuge in the protection of Pharaoh, and to seek shelter in the shadow of Mizraim. You know what Jared said? I dwell among the children of Cain. Yahuwah, please deliver me out of here. Therefore shall the protection of Pharaoh turn to your shame. You know what happened to Jared? It's going to turn to your shame. And the shelter of the shadow of Mizraim to your humiliation. That's the only way he's going to get you back. Why do you think Yahushua had to be humiliated? Why do you think that woman had to be humiliated? Why do you think that you have to be humiliated? Einu, Anah, Shafal, that's the only way he's going to get you back. I had to let you go down from the mountain. I had to let you go back to Mizraim and interact with those people. I had to let you get entangled with a bunch of people in Mizraim. And now, I'm going to use it to humiliate you. Right in front. Just so I can get you back with your whole heart. And you're going to pray. And Satan going to flee. And you know what's going to happen to you? They're going to be surrounding you. And you have no point but to seek Yahuwah. For though his officials are at Zoan and his envoys reach Hanes, everyone comes to shame. Though a people cannot profit them, that brings neither help nor profit, but shame and disgrace. That's what happened to him. They brought shame and disgrace. As soon as he pulled out, everybody left. They prayed, everybody left. They ran, and he was left alone. It was disgraceful. You know what happened? An oracle on the beast of Negev. Though a land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the lioness and the lion, both male and female. What else is there? The adder and the flying fiery serpent, they carry their riches on the backs of donkeys, and their treasures on the humps of camels, to a people that cannot profit them. You know how I say it? The lion, they carry all these things. And then you carry all your riches down to Mizraim, you think they're going to help you. So they're going to protect you. Get what it says, verse 7. Egypt's help is worthless and empty. Mizraim, Ham, the children of Ham, you know they descend out from the children of Cain. Because you know Ham learned their information and knowledge. Do you know who copied Ham? Pharaoh? Because Pharaoh, Mizraim was dominant. The Persians copied them. The Greeks copied them. They love copying terrible behavior. They love terrible behavior. Plots and schemes. Yahuah and Yehudah is experts at that. You killed the son. You delivered and plotted scheme against the son of Yahuah. Y'all experts. They copied you too. Mizraim's help is worthless and empty. Therefore, I have called her Rahab, who sits still. He said, I call her Rahab. Verse 8 says, and now go, write it before them on a tablet, and inscribe it in a book, that it may be for them in the time to come a witness forever. For they are rebellious people, lying children unwilling to hear the instructions of Yahuah. And then what, he told Jared, he said, but I know, he said, before I die, I already know they're not going to listen to you, though. But it actually was him that did not listen to his father. Jared didn't listen to him. Because you ain't even listen. Who says to the seer, do not see. Because if you don't see nothing, then the blood going to be upon your hand. They don't want you to know. And to the Nabi, do not prophesy to us right things, because they want the blood to be on your hand. That's why they telling you not to say right things. That's why they telling you not to say things that are right, because they want the blood to be on your hand. That's why your children say to their mother, don't tell us what we're doing wrong. That's why your son and daughter don't want you to tell them what they're doing wrong. They want the blood to be upon you. They don't want to take responsibility for what they do. But he said, but people don't want to tell them what they're doing, so therefore they don't want nothing to happen. And then they'll be like, yeah, I ain't going to say nothing. And then the blood will be on your hands. He said, so you just thought he was talking about your cousin? That's why I say lion, lioness, who gonna rouse them up? Now, if you of Yehudah, then you gonna do what's right. And you gonna say what's right. And you know what happened? To us, what is right. Speak to us smooth things, prophesy illusions, apparitions, like Satan did. You know what they're gonna tell you? Lead the way and turn aside from the path. Come down from the mountain. Because they don't want you coming from higher thought. They want you to keep that state of lower thought and not say nothing to them. Let us hear no more about the Kudash one of Yasharal. They don't want to hear nothing more about it. We don't want to hear that. We want to go and go be in Mizraim. We finna go down, get the women. We finna open our hand up. We want to be with them. We want to wear the beards and the clothes and the garments. We want to look good. We don't want to be Aynu, Hana, Shafal. We don't want to stay like that. Therefore, thus says the Kudash one of Yasharal, because you despise his word and trust in oppression and perverseness and rely on them. Therefore, his iniquity shall be to you like a breach in a high wall, bulging out and about to collapse, whose breaking comes suddenly in an instant. And its breaking is like the potter's vessel, that is smashed so ruthlessly that among its fragments not a shard is found. You know how a shard, we have 90 days per cycle, 90, 90, 90, 90. Those are different shards that take place. 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, transition, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, transition, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, transition, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, transition. Those little shards that are there store information. And they don't want you to actually say anything during certain shards, especially the summertime, because everybody outside. They don't want you to say nothing during this time. Because this is a time where everybody do a whole bunch of things. Ain't gonna be no shard found with which to take fire from the earth, or to dip up water out of the cistern. For thus says Yahuah Elohim, the Kudash one of Yasharal, in returning and rest. In what? What happened to Jared he returned back to the mountain. He told him the way. And his father, he said, labor into that rest. And his father rested from all his labors. In returning and rest, you shall be saved. In quietness, in Einu, Anah, Shafal, Kasid, in quietness and in trust shall be your strength. Daman. But you were unwilling, and you said, no. La. It's like the Planet of the Apes and Monkeys. Get back in your cage, you little dirty ape. And he said, no. In actuality, you need to get back in your cage and go pray. Get back in your cage. You know what I'm saying? In your room. Go close the door. But it's the last thing. And we will flee upon horses, right? They're getting up out of here. Therefore, you shall flee away and will ride upon swift steeds. Why do you think Satan left as soon as he started praying? In quietness and in returning, you're going to be saved. But as soon as you start doing that, Satan will go. Swift beasts. Therefore, your pursuers shall be swift. Don't worry, he ain't getting away. 1,000 shall flee at the threat of one. So that prayer that Jared had was actually a threat to Satan. And Satan fled. And at the threat of 5, you shall flee till you are left, like a flagstaff on the top of a mountain. Huh? You're going to be like a flagstaff on the top of the mountain. You know what's going to happen after that? You get back on that mountain. Like a signal on a hill. You're going to be right back. How you say? You're going to be right back where you were before. Hey, Jerry, you going to get back on that mountain again? He said, yeah, I'm back. The mountain of Yahuah going to be established at the top of the mountains and exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. I'm back. Therefore, Yahuah waits to be gracious to you. He been up there. He was up there the whole time. Even when Jared went down, he was waiting to be gracious to him. He was already waiting for him. And he waiting for you. He waiting for everybody. And therefore, he exalts himself to show mercy to you, because his mercy renews every single morning. Why do you think he said, my servant shall be doed wisely, he shall be exalted very high? For Yahushua said, for this is the reason that I came into the world. And when the son of Adam be lifted up, I'm going to draw all people to myself. For Yahuah is the Elohim of justice. Barak are those who wait for him. For a people shall dwell in Sion, in Jerusalem. You shall weep no more. Because when the children weeping when he came back. And when he found them, he will surely be gracious to you at the sound of your cry. And as soon as he hears it, he answers to you. And though Yahuah gives you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet your teachers will not hide himself anymore. And then what the children thought when he came back to the mountain. But your eyes shall see your teachers. When they was like, where you at, Jared? We were looking for you. And your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way. And then what the Malak came to show Jared, he came to show him the way back. This is the way. Walk in it. And when you turn to the right or to the left, or when you turn to the left, then you will defile your carved idols and are overlaid with silver and gold and with metals. You will scatter them as unclean things, and you will say, be gone. And he will give you rain for your seed with which you sow the ground, and bread to produce of the ground, which will be rich and plenteous. Right? So that's the whole point. Right? So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the light of life. We look at the true light, the Or, the flagstaff on top of the mountain, Yahushua Mashiach. And all nations are going to flow to him. He said, if the son of Adam be lifted up, I'm going to draw all people to myself. But even envious Satan is watching every single step, every single thing you do, and every single thing that you do, you struggle with. And he's going to use it to try to get you to come down from your higher self, your higher thought, and in your mind from hearing the bar, and to give attendance to the readings and the studying of the Torah, that one may be empty in one's heart and mind, he takes the bar out and fills it with his poison, and now you may give birth to adders and cobras and scorpions within your belly. But we know all these lies that come from our inner belly come from him. And we know we must put all these things aside and bring them under subjection to Yahushua Mashiach. No longer walk in the imagination of our own mind and heart. No longer be envious and jealous of people that are better than us, but to walk in righteousness and purity of mind, and purity of thought, and in quietness in returning. And returning back to him is to return back our heart and our mind and our thoughts and our higher self back to him, that the lower self may be under the subjection of Yahushua Mashiach under his feet, both male and female, both lion and lioness, or Ari and Ariyah, right, within your heart and your mind. Knowing that these both male and female, both male child, male animal, female animals, the Qahalath must walk in righteousness. It must give heed to the instructions, the special instructions, that one may be able to be saved. The special instructions that may be your protection. The special instructions that may deliver you from death. For these things are important for our heart and our mind. We must be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, even at the last Turah, even as Jared stood over the people like a lion. And he told them the righteousness, and he told them how to live. But at the same time, when the last Turah comes, there won't be no more time. Even as the 7th month is approaching, he say time is running out. He said, time is running out. Right? So we look at all the things that's happened throughout this life. He say when he say summertime is over, he said the harvest time will begin. Knowing that all these things are true, and we should walk in righteousness in a pure heart and pure mind, both male and females of Qahalath, always with the intent to enter into that rest, that we should not come short of it. For as we move forward in righteousness and peace of mind and peace of heart. And we go on our business in meekness, so that we be beloved of him that is approved. There's only one that was approved, Yahushua Mashiach. And even as he was trying to get himself in, all the people who follow him, they trying to get themselves in, making sure I tell you that the blood don't be on my hands or anybody's hands, both male and female, that one may be entering into his rest. So we live in this world, we are not of it. But the greater thou art, the humble thyself, that thou shalt find favor before Yahuah. Many are in high places and are renowned, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.